A pleasant good evening and welcome to Pete Annamarino Stadium on the campus of Gateway High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania for tonight's WPIAL 5A playoff matchup. It's the quarterfinals as the number 7 Penn Hills Indians take the short trip to Monroeville to take on the number 2 Gateway Gators. Gateway 4-0 on the season, 3-0 within Big East Conference play, while Penn Hills 4-3 on the season, 4-1, the runners-up out of the Northeastern Conference. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo upstairs tonight. Down on the field, it's Rick McIntyre with our sideline reports. And we thank you for joining us tonight on the Trib Live High School Sports Network as the Gateway Gators and the Penn Hills Indians renew an old rivalry for this WPIAL playoff game. Now, Vince, as we take a look at this football game, what's really notable is the way Gateway was able to get their legs back underneath them after struggling against Woodland Hills and then coming out strong a week ago against Connellsville.
Yeah, the Woodland Hills game, 3 weeks in between chunks of their season, we're bound to see a little rust, but they really did come out with a force. We saw in that first quarter an almost 7-minute drive where they really bled the clock, went to a number of their different playmakers, got a lot of people involved on the offensive side of the ball. But again, getting Derek Davis into the mix, he scores the touchdown, goes on to get 3 more that evening, and he's in rare form as this team looks to be one of those favorites as we go through the quarterfinals here.
Talking about Derek Davis, he set a Gateway record for touchdowns in a career on a touchdown pass from Justin Engelke, who got his legs back underneath him as well for the Gators.
Absolutely. 11 of 13, the touchdown pass with nice touch to the corner of the end zone to Davis. He looked great last week. He's going to be a big key to their success because teams are going to want to stack the box and try and take care of Davis, but they have so many playmakers on the outside. I look for Engelke to really be the linchpin in this offense that helps them succeed in this playoffs.
Vince, let's talk about that Gateway defense, and they held strong again a week ago against the Connellsville Falcons. Other than one touchdown on a breakaway run, they held the Falcons scoreless, at least the first team defense did.
My goodness, they were fantastic in every facet of that game. They really came to play and put on a stellar performance. Really was impressed at how they generated quite a push at the point of emphasis right there at the line of scrimmage. They did a good job. They forced a talented quarterback into a lot of tough throws, so the secondary looked to rebound after letting up a few deep passes to Armani Bailey and Gavin Yarborough against Woodland Hills. So I look for them to have another big day here today.
Let's send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre joins us. Rick, what's the feeling down on the field, and what's your pregame analysis?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Again, pregame is for me right now. Just watching this Gateway Gator team come out of the huddle, out of the tunnel there. There's just electricity on this sideline right now, and I think that's one of the things. Gateway.
Well, obviously, we're having some issues with Rick's microphone. Hopefully, we'll get that remedied as the game progresses. But it's good to see you down there on the sidelines again after last week where you weren't able to join us in Connellsville, but good to have you back prowling the sidelines here at Pete Annamarino Stadium, Rick.
Thank you, Adam.
Penn Hills will kick off to begin this football game, and it'll be Jonas Silverman kicking off for the Penn Hills Indians. Penn Hills on the far sideline. They wear their road white jerseys with the red pants, red numerals with the gold trim, and the red helmets with the gold arrows on both sides of the lids. Near sideline are the Gateway Gators. They wear their traditional home dark gray uniforms, dark gray pants, dark gray jerseys, gold numerals, black helmets with Gators in cursive on both sides of their helmets. Gateway under the direction of Don Hall, John LaDon, the head coach, over on that far sideline of the Penn Hills Indians. And both of these coaches have experience leading these teams to titles.
Worth noting, you talk about the success of these two programs as we get ready to kick this one off. Gateway in the playoffs for the 18th time in 19 years. Penn Hills, 7th time in 8 years. Between the two, 71 playoff appearances between these two historic franchises in Western Pennsylvania, these two programs. And again, another great rivalry that's been revived this year. These two schools just a few miles apart. Not a far road trip for Penn Hills to get up the hill here.
Yeah, Penn Hills, for the first time in a long time, played Woodland Hills earlier this season. Gateway and Penn Hills on the early schedule were supposed to play, but then when the season was shortened due to COVID, that game was removed from the schedule, but able to be played here in the WPIAL 5A playoffs. Again, Jonas Silverman will kick off for the Penn Hills Indians. And the Gateway Gators send 2 deep. And we are underway in Monroeville, PA. End-over-end kick carries into the end zone where it's bobbled by Derek Davis, but it doesn't matter because it's a touchback either way, and it'll be first and 10 for the Gateway Gators at their own 20-yard line.
Nice boot there. Don't want to let those guys get the ball in open space whatsoever. We know about Davis, but I mean the other plethora of playmakers they've had back there at the return position. Obviously, Bodie has struggled a bit on the punt return duties, but overall, it seems like anytime they're able to get a guy with the ball in open space on a kick return, they're usually ending up at least at the 35, 40-yard line, worst case scenario.
Gators go from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Where the senior center, Patrick Baumann, steps over the football, and the Gators in a shotgun formation. Davis to the right-hand side of Engelke, twins split to either side. Handoff, Davis runs left. Across the 20 where he's hit hard and brought down. Short gain there as the tackle is made. Noel Roach. Roach, the 6'2 senior.
Yeah, Roach, physical, talented. He's an Akron commit. He's going to be a big playmaker on both sides of the ball. Also gets in there at tight end and is a viable option on offense as well. He's a big-time playmaker.
Handoff again, big hole over right tackle this time for Davis, who picks up about 3 yards to the 25 before he's pulled back. Tackle on the play by Claude Vangelis.
Not surprising once again to see that they're going to try and stack this box. They're going to try and force Engelke to throw the ball. For better, for worse, you know, this is where Gateway's offense really has the opportunity to shine, because for most high school quarterbacks that would really complicate a lot of offenses. But Engelke, so incredibly talented at getting that ball out quickly and hitting that deep ball as well. Look for them to maybe take a shot here.
Play action, Engelke looks left, tucks and runs to his right-hand side, dives forward, and they will give him the first down, crossing the 30 towards the 31-yard line. So a pickup of 6, and it's first and 10 for the Gateway Gators at their own 31.
Wow, he had looked like Bodie over the top, but a smart decision there, not forcing it. Thought they might try the deep ball there, but he knew he could get the sticks, dove, had good awareness just to get enough, and that'll move the chains for the Gators.
Taking a look at the flags on the goalposts, a little bit of wind blowing from right to left into Engelke's face. Trips left for the Gators. Play action to Nelson. Engelke looks right the whole way for Bodie. Drops the pass into the arms of Patrick Bodie, who catches it in Indians territory. Steps out of bounds at the 32-yard line, where it'll be first and 10 for Gateway.
Yeah, they had it on the last play. Dial it back up this time. Same play design. They go over the top, hit the receiver. Beautiful throw and an even better catch over the shoulder there. Wonderfully done.
Looked like Engelke got hit late after he threw that football. No flags flew, though. And it'll just be first and 10 for the Gators at the Indians' 32-yard line. Ball's on the right hash with trips to the left. Play action. Pass to the left-hand side. A little curl-in screen. And it's Shamar Price trying to make something out of nothing and ends up losing a couple of yards as the Indians were all over it. Noel Roach leading the charge for the Indians.
Able to make the first few miss there, but just wasn't able to find a crease to turn that one north to south. Just kept going laterally, and eventually the defense caught up to him.
So they'll mark it just a loss of 1 to the 33-yard line, where it's second down and 11 for Gateway. Engelke getting the call from the sideline with trips to the left and one receiver to the near side right. Davis will set as a back to the right-hand side of Engelke. Straight drop back, toss to the right, another screen. Davis breaks the tackle, has blockers in front of him to the 20, the 15, the 10, still on his feet at the 5, and he'll step out of bounds right around that 3-yard line, and a big pickup on the screen again for the Gators. We saw it a lot against Woodland Hills 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that went from looking like it was going to be a loss for a quick second, then the blocking sort of sets up, things come together quickly, and then for another second, it looked like Davis was going to break that one and go all the way, but just wasn't able to keep the balance there. The angle there taken by Roach forces him to step out just inside the 5.
They place the ball at the 2 where it's 1st and goal. Engelke hands off. Davis trying to dance his way forward, but 2 Indians were in the backfield to meet him. First one there, Derek Topek. Also involved on the tackle again is Noel Roach.
A good job getting through that time, and looked like maybe a missed assignment there on the outside. Looked like Roach kind of came free, unhindered.
Handoff, Davis bouncing it left. If he turns the corner, he's into the end zone, and he will do so. A touchdown for Derek Davis of 3 yards, and the Gators strike first. 8:38 to play here in quarter number 1, and Gateway leads Penn Hills 6-0.
Wow, he's just got such a rare combination of size and speed, athleticism, vision, awareness. He really is the total package for this Gators team, and it seems like any time this season they've had to put a punctuation mark on a big drive, they go ahead and do that. And wonderful job there by the offense to drive this one down. Again, bleeding a little bit of clock, a little quicker this time, but 6 on the board quick.
Kicker is Jenkins. And Engelke to Parks, to the foot of Jenkins, and up through the uprights and good. And the Gateway Gators lead the Penn Hills Indians 7-0. With 8:38 to play here in quarter number 1. Let's send it back down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what'd you see on that drive from the Gators?
Well, as I was trying to say earlier until my mic cut out, something you're looking for in that first drive is to get the nerves calmed down. Some of these kids have never seen a whole lot of playoff action, and I was impressed with all the execution. The way they came out, just calmly, steadily drove the ball down the field. And let me tell you something, Adam, you can't hear it from up there maybe, but there are some pads popping on this field tonight.
Well, that's always a fun part of these eastern suburban rivalries, whether it's Woodland Hills, Penn Hills, Gateway Woodland Hills, or Gateway versus Penn Hills. These guys bring the thunder when they play each other. And we certainly saw it 2 weeks ago when Gateway took on Woodland Hills at the Wolverina. That was as physical of a high school football game as you could imagine.
My goodness, those first couple drives, both teams almost seemed like they were more focused on knocking the other team out cold than they were, getting the ball into the end zone. And we saw a pretty low-scoring first half that translated into a game that came down to the wire. But, yeah, it was not only physical, but a lot of fun to watch.
So, again, a 3-yard touchdown run by Derek Davis puts the Gators on the board, 7-zip. PAT up and in for Jenkins, who gets us back to live action with an end-over-end kick that'll carry to around the 11-yard line, where it'll be returned by Brendan Hill, and Hill gets hit hard as he crosses the 20, out towards the 22-yard line. Big hit there by Aiden Smith, the Gators linebacker.
Yeah, he had good pursuit on that one and just didn't let the ball carrier out of his sight. Good form tackle, way to break down and not over-pursue. And, that was a short kick by Jenkins. He normally is able to get a good bit of a boot on that one. As Rick said, a good bit of wind down there on the field. But the covering team sure makes up for the difference. And that's an area where they had a few issues early in the season, the Gators did. And so looking like they're able to start cleaning that up a little bit, which could be a really big asset for them moving forward, obviously.
Pistol formation for the Penn Hills Indians, the road team. Handoff for the Indians in a crease for a moment, but then the ball carrier, Amir Key, brought down as he crosses the 30 to the 31-yard line. A pickup of 7 on the play brings up 2nd down and about 2 for the Indians.
Yeah, Key, one of 3 running backs on the season that has over 200 yards and averaging over 5 yards a carry. Key came into this game averaging over 5.3, has a couple touchdowns on the season. So they have a couple guys that can carry the ball and do it pretty well.
Again, the pistol formation for Duggar. Handoff, hole over left tackle. And Amir Key is the ball carrier again. First down yardage for Penn Hills as the Indians pick up about a handful, maybe 6 yards. Diego Bledsoe involved in the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
See if they have success with that running game. Obviously going to make things a little easier with a freshman then at quarterback, Julian Duggar. He's had himself a pretty decent season, almost 900 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns. But again, you don't want to have to put it in the hands of a freshman here against a talented Gateway team.
2 receivers right, and the Indians go to the ground again as it's Amir Key running right. And Key drives his way across the 45, and he has a 10-yard pickup and another Penn Hills first down.
Yeah, so far, just a few plays into this one on defense, the defensive front seven of the Gators just doesn't seem to be flocking to the ball the same way we've seen in some of the early contests this season. Not sure why that is, but one of the things they've been so good at is really pursuing the ball, taking good angles, and cutting things off before these running backs for the opposing team are really able to get the ball downfield.
Duggar in the shotgun, hands it off up the middle for Key as the motion man coming from right to left was the decoy. Hunter Dow in on the tackle for the Gators. Also involved in the stop is Bonzi Parks. Pickup of 3 on that play brings up 2nd down and 7 at the midfield stripe.
It's a big drive already for Penn Hills. We've seen so many teams punt the ball back quickly to Gateway, and they have that quick strike offense. So many times we've seen teams fall down by 2 scores real early and then kind of lose their will against the Gators here. So see if Penn Hills can get a bit of a drive going here past midfield.
Penn Hills motions to 2 receivers left. Duggar's going to run to his left-hand side. Strung out for a moment, and a nice open field tackle for Jaden Hurt prevents a Penn Hills first down, but still a pickup of 5 to the 45 into Gators territory, bringing up a 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, so far, again, you haven't made any sort of errors or messed anything up on 1st or 2nd down that's forced your freshman quarterback to have to start slinging that ball around here in the cold and the wind. And so we'll see if that's a factor here. See if they decide to continue to keep it on the ground here as the night progresses.
Again, the pistol with 2 receivers right and 1 to the near side left. Duggar hands off. Amir Key, the ball carrier, drives his way for a Penn Hills first down. He was met near the line of scrimmage, but would not be denied and picked up 3 yards and a Penn Hills first down. They'll actually give him 4 to the 41.
Yeah, for another freshman, a really heady play to kind of have that awareness of where the sticks are. You see him keep his balance just long enough and fall backwards towards that, line that he had to gain. And those are things that keeps drive moving and keeps your team headed towards victory. So nice heads-up play there by Key.
2 receivers right and a wing to the right, 1 receiver to the near side left. Duggar in the pistol. Gateway shows blitz. Key takes the handoff, slides past the first tackler, but will be met after picking up just a yard by a host of dark gray jerseys down at the bottom of the pile. Jacques Taylor, amongst others.
See, we'll keep you posted on some of the other scores going on around 5A and what that will mean for potential matchups next week for Gateway. And so Pine Richland with an early score over South Fayette. Peters Township putting 2 quick ones up on the board against Woodland Hills.
And the winner of that game will take on Gateway should Gateway win this football game. 2 receivers right and a wing to the right. Duggar rolls to the right. Pressured, wrapped, pushed out of bounds. The ball comes loose. They'll say an incomplete pass. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 9 at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, fortuitous there. That kind of ended up as best case scenario as it could for Duggar. You see he's able to get that arm moving forward. So, in fact, it is an incomplete pass before he steps out of bounds. So they save themselves probably a good 6-7 yards there, if not more, and still keeps this a somewhat 3rd and reasonable. I mean, 3rd and 9 is never a situation you want to be in, but sure beats the heck out of 3rd and 17.
Yeah, Duggar threw that ball right off of the helmet of Hunter Dow as he was being pursued by Jaden Hurt. Duggar hands off. Key bouncing it to the right-hand side. He's got the first down and more. Hit but not brought down. And finally, Bonzi Parks knocks him out of bounds. The ball came loose. But Amir Key picking up big yards there for the Penn Hills Indians, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Penn Hills at the 11-yard line, and Key is slow to get to his feet.
Yeah, it looks like he may have got hit in an unfortunate area at the end of what an incredible run. Key, only 190 pounds, you see there, just 5'7", but sometimes it's those guys that are low to the ground, have that low center of gravity that are able to put the boom on it. My goodness, that was one of the best stiff arms we've seen all season long. Puts on the jets and is able to get to the outside, but then the physicality to invite that contact and shed that defender, that was a really impressive run.
So Penn Hills brings out Alan Parker as the tailback. Two receivers and a wing to the right, one receiver to the near side left. Duggar takes the high snap, hands off to Parker. Parker is met at the line of scrimmage and pulled back by JT Jacques Taylor, who had an interception a week ago from his defensive end spot.
Jacques Taylor is just one of those guys that, his presence on the defense, it's clear from the way he carries himself and the way he communicates with his teammates that he is a leader and he's part of the lifeblood of that defense. But part of that is backing it up with play, and he's been there time and time again with tackles for loss, turnovers, fumbles. He's really been a force to be reckoned with there down on the defensive front seven.
We have another scoring update from Peters Township High School. Interception return for a touchdown for the Indians, and they're up 20-0 on Woody High. Two receivers left, one to the far boundary right. Duggar rolls to the left. Pressured, tries to turn forward and will step out of bounds. Duggar around left end. Right around the line of scrimmage. Now, earlier I said this was going to be 1st and 10 at the 11. They ended up spotting the ball at the 10-yard line, so it was a 1st and goal situation with no first down able to get for the Penn Hills Indians. So that brings up 3rd and goal at the 10.
Yeah, and that makes things extremely difficult. Again, you've got a freshman quarterback that's going to have to probably drop back and pass it here unless you're really thinking about 4-down territory. And these are some tight windows. Everything gets a little more difficult here once you get down into the red zone. Just a lot less real estate to work with, less places to put the ball. So we'll see what Duggar's able to come up with here. This will be telling for the freshman here. First drive in a big playoff game.
Duggar sends a man in motion from left to right. Runs left, steps forward, throws it as he was beyond the line of scrimmage. It's intercepted by Derek Davis, who's running his way out towards the 10, maybe the 12-yard line.
Duggar's pass intercepted by Davis.
So the officials are going to sort this one out, but I do believe that the quarterback, Duggar, was beyond the line of scrimmage, and that is exactly the call, an illegal forward pass, which is declined by the Gators, and the interception for Davis will set Gateway up 1st and 10 at their own 13 after the 13-yard INT return for Derek Davis.
Well, we talked about this was going to be telling for Duggar. Real estate closes up, windows close up, not a whole lot of room to throw or to run, and he just makes the wrong decision there. You see 3 gray jerseys in the vicinity of that receiver, just panicked. And so you see a freshman who thinks about the immediate, not the future. Big turnover there.
Trips left, 2 receivers to the near side right, empty set for Engelke. Hard count by Engelke with the clap. And breaching the neutral zone was Keith Pelmon, the outside linebacker.
You got to watch the ball there. Easy to get caught listening and watching the quarterback, trying to see that body language. But best bet is just to look at the center, look where the ball is. Don't move until it moves.
Trips left, 2 receivers right again, empty set for Engelke. Has all kinds of time, throws it across the middle, leaping grab, Shamar Price. Price out towards midfield where he's going to be hauled down by Noel Roach, but not before a big pickup for the Gateway Gators, moving the ball out to the 48, a pickup on that play of 30 yards.
This is the Carson Engelke we saw here early in the season, putting the deep ball right where it needs to be, hitting receivers in stride, putting the ball in front of them to where they can catch it and keep moving. Wonderfully done there once again by Engelke. And if they start opening the passing game up here big time, it's going to be really tough for Penn Hills.
Trips left, 1 receiver right. Engelke pulls it out of the belly of the ball carrier, crosses the 50 to the 49-yard line. 3 Indians were there to meet him, but Engelke at 5'11" and 180 pounds takes the beating and will get back to his feet quickly and take his Gators back to the line of scrimmage on 2nd down and 7.
I appreciate the misdirection and throwing something out there you haven't seen a whole lot of this season, but really not the play result that you want to see. Your quarterback, who is a big component to your team going deep in the playoffs, getting walloped by 2 defenders in open field space.
Trips right, 1 receiver to the far boundary left. Davis now motions to the backfield as another side card, this time to the right side of Engelke. Little trickery. Shamar Price shakes and bakes. Still on his feet, inside of the 40 to the 30-yard line. And Shamar Price with a great solo effort to split defenders and get a first down for the Gators inside of the 30 to the 29.
We've seen that a few times this season. He can just freeze up defenders on command. I mean, that looked like it should have been a loss of 3 to 5 yards, but he just patiently waits, allows himself to go to work there, and he is one of the smoothest runners in open space. You see those moves as he gets the ball here. Wasn't sure if he was going to try and pull it down and pass it, but again, just sort of sits there and waits, makes the defender make that first move.
Davis runs right inside of the 20. They'll mark him down at the 17. A first down for the Gators, and it's 1st and 10 inside of the Big Red zone.
Again, talked about it. Penn Hills had an opportunity to equalize things there, and you've got to capitalize against a team like Gateway, because the moment you make a mistake, this well-coached, well-operating team here is going to make you pay for those mistakes, and they're already knocking on the door just a few plays after getting an interception.
Twins to either side as Carson Engelke. Hands off, delay by Davis inside of the 10. Close to first down yardage as he's marked down at the 8-yard line. That'll bring up 2nd down and 1 on the pickup of 9.
A lot of running plays. We're quickly approaching the end of the first quarter here. This one's moving along pretty quickly. Only a few passing attempts, and all of them have been completed. Just for Penn Hills, it went to the wrong team.
Yeah, just one incomplete pass for Penn Hills on their first drive, and that was one where Duggar was pressured and then caromed the pass off of the head of Hunter Dow, trying to scramble to his right. Engelke, shotgun, sidecar to his left is Davis. Hand off to Davis. Rethinks his running lane as he cuts it back and gets the first down to the 7-yard line. And a fresh set of downs brings up 1st and goal.
He's done such a great job of that this season. We saw it in its best execution against Woodland Hills late in the game, where the Wolverines were over pursuing a little bit, and he just waited and cut back field a couple times for 20-plus yards, as it looks like the Gators are going to bleed this one out and go down to the other end zone and try and put 6 more on the board. But driving here once again, and Davis is such a big part of that.
So that'll do it for the first 12 minutes of football here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Gateway threatening. It'll be 1st and goal for Gateway as we start quarter number 2. But Gateway did what they needed to do in that first quarter. They drove down and they scored on their first offensive drive. And then they kept Penn Hills off of the board, even though the Indians had a big drive. The defense came up with the INT in the red zone.
Yeah, this is a big play team and a well-coached team, and they needed to make a play, and they have. I mean, we've seen it so many times this season where they've had that bend, don't break mentality. They've certainly given up yards as a defense, but you look at the results from this season, they haven't given up a whole lot of points. That's because eventually these playmakers are going to do what they do best and make big plays.
Let's send it back downstairs. Rick McIntyre, your impressions of that first quarter.
Yeah, I think my impression is basically the same as you guys saw up there. Just complete domination by the boys in the gray jerseys out here. Came out, didn't show any sense of the nerves that I was talking about pregame. And like I said, they're coming out, both sides are coming out fast and heavy from the ball. And for a little bit there, looked like Penn Hills was kind of dominating the line of scrimmage. I think since then you've seen a few more run blitzes thrown in from the Gateway defensive coordinator. And it seemed to really equalize things up front.
Thanks a lot, Rick. We'll continue to check in with Rick down along those sidelines as the game progresses. First play of the second quarter, up and coming, 1st and goal for the Gators. Engelke, play action, throws it into the back of the end zone, incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd and goal as Carson Engelke was looking for Shamar Price.
Yeah, good physicality there by the defensive back. Looked like Roach there in coverage. So Engelke, put it towards the back, put it in a place where he knew only his receiver would be able to get it. Unfortunately, overthrew that one just a little bit, but good ball placement. Just a little too much oomph on that one.
So 2nd and goal for Gateway. Ball's on the right hash as Engelke has 2 receivers left and 2 to the short side right. Engelke trying to toss it off to Nelson, but the pass is incomplete, and that'll bring up 3rd down and goal on the incomplete pass for Gateway.
Seen Nelson have some soft hands. Last week we saw him tip a ball 4 or 5 times before hauling it in and getting down the field a little bit. Always enjoyable to see him get the ball in open space because he's got so much size, but still a little bit of zip under those legs. Couldn't corral that one, though.
So Gateway getting the call from the sideline on 3rd and goal. The ball on the right hash at the 7-yard line. Gateway on top, 7-zip. Early stages of quarter number 2. Engel K play action. Throws to the left-hand side for Price, but that pass off the mark. Maybe a late hit on Engel K, but the flags don't fly as Engel K was hit by Carter Lance. And the field goal unit will come on for the Gateway Gators. And earlier I misspoke. Bonzi Parks has been the holder throughout the season for Gateway, but a new holder, Chris Livesey,
will hold.
is the holder. Engel K is still the long snapper. And, of course, Jenkins is the kicker for the Gateway Gators. This will be a 23-yard field goal attempt from the right hash. Low snap. Livesey trying to make something happen. He'll be wrapped and he will be brought down, and a turnover on downs for the Gateway Gators on a failed field goal attempt, as again Engel K has trouble with the snap.
Yeah, that's been one of those very small and infrequent bugaboos that this team has had, is they just have not done a very good job of executing, whether it be, PATs, this or the other. They've had some trouble with the snap. They've had trouble with a few getting blocked. They've certainly done fairly well on the season, but that's something that gives you a little bit of pause as you get into these games that get decided by these kicks, that get decided by the tiny little decisions that happens in games. These aren't going to be your Connellsville contest where you're up 43-12. These are going to be a little closer because you're playing a higher caliber opponent.
Don Hall having a long conversation with his starting QB, who's also his long snapper.
We'll see now. Penn Hills can get that ground game going again with Key. He's back there in the backfield after taking a hit on the last drive, but they certainly had their way on offense for a majority of that drive before it stalled out off the interception.
John Ladon needs to take a timeout. The head coach of the Penn Hills Indians, who, like I said, took his team to the state title game a couple of years back when Penn Hills was in 6A. Help support the Gateway Gators by participating in the online 50-50 raffle. Download the Raffles Now app and search Gateway Football Boosters. The winner will be picked after the game and will be notified via email and within the app. Also, the boosters still have Gold Card discount cards available. Gold Cards offer discounts at Papa Rocks in Haymaker Village, the North Park Lounge in Murraysville, area McDonald's restaurants, Buffalo Wild Wings in Penn Center, the Gateway Grill, and more. For more information, visit www.gatewayfootballboosters.com. So 1st and 10 for Penn Hills after the turnover on downs for the Gators on a botched field goal attempt. Indians going to go to the ground. Returning to the lineup is Amir Key, and Key will pick up 3 yards before he is driven back by a host of Gators. Jameer Harbor, amongst others, involved in the tackle.
Yeah, he sure earned those 3 yards. He kind of pinballs around. So he takes 1 hit, 2 hit. Finally, it's the 3rd hit that finally forces him back down to the turf. Key's been very physical and very effective here early. See if they continue on that.
Second down and 7. Penn Hills in the shotgun. Duggar sends a man in motion, and it'll be a forward pitch to the motion man, Noel Roach. And Roach, not much real estate in front of him, picks up just a yard before he's undercut and brought down. That'll bring up 3rd down and a half a dozen with the ball at the 19.
See what they draw up here, see if they go back to the air. Penn Hills has struggled this season. A note on them, they're the only team in this postseason that has been outscored this season. They average about 18 points per game, but they've given up about 20. So the defense has done its part and kept games within reach, but the offense just hasn't done enough to get it done. Surprisingly, in the 3 games that they've lost, they've combined to score just 13 points.
Duggar, straight drop back. Pocket collapses. He's going to take off running, and he will dive towards the first down stick, but will not pick up the first down. It'll bring up 4th down and 2 at the 23. And it's decision time for John Ladon, but you've got to assume he's going to bring the punt unit out, being buried this deep in your own territory.
My goodness, yeah. I mean, you were really close there to giving up some more points. Gateway's drive stalls out, but that offense has been clicking. You don't want to give them any shorter of a field than you have to. So, you live to fight another day. You try and get a good spin on this one, get a good bounce, and hope that you don't put it in the hands of the return men, and that Gateway gets a big return here.
Jonah Silverman is the punter. Josh Zambito is the long snapper. And some confusion by Gateway as Penn Hills had some eligible men over here on that right-hand side, and Don Hall going to give an earful, I think, to this punt return unit.
Yeah, they were not organized. They were not ready to go. You saw a lot of communication there and guys running around looking pretty frantic. Jameer Harbor, one of the guilty culprits that was kind of caught in no man's land, didn't know if he was supposed to spread out wide on one of those men, those eligible men, or if he was supposed to stay inside. So I'm sure that coach is not super happy to be using a timeout this early in the second quarter.
Cold night here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, 39 degrees under partly cloudy skies. It's been raining all week long, but the rain left the Pittsburgh area this afternoon about 1 p.m. Humid air makes it damp as well. And some light winds. We've seen them gust up a bit, especially right to left across your TV screen here in Monroeville as it blows from behind the Gators at this point towards the Indians. So 4th down and 2. The punt team is on for Penn Hills. Silverman is the punter. And he will run out, and the snap carries over the personal protector. It was a designed fake, but the Gators sniff it out after the snap went awry, and the snap is picked up by Shamar Price. He's brought down at the 2-yard line, and the trickery from John Ladon doesn't pay off. It'll be 1st and goal for the Gators inside of the Indians' 5-yard line.
It didn't look like that was going to fool the Gators in the first place, but then the execution is just horrible. And you've really got to question making that call. Your defense was able to get a stop the last time out. You're still right in this one. You're not down a couple scores, but now you've given Gateway the ball at the 3-yard line with the amount of talent that they have. Derek Davis, Kelvin Nelson in the backfield. I mean, that's about gift-wrapping one for the Gators here and puts you out of this game early unless your offense, which has struggled all season, can really start to get some life behind it.
So Nelson, the tight end to the right. Bledsoe is the wing to the right. The handoff. No, it's Engelke tossing it into the end zone. Jaden Hurt catching that touchdown pass. The Gators showed run the whole way, but a nice job by Engelke to pull it out of the belly of Davis and toss it to Jaden Hurt.
They've executed on that in the red zone a number of times this season, and when the slant route is run well and you're able to get that quick inside step, it's so hard to stop that without holding the receiver. And when you've got guys like Jaden Hurt who have the size they do, 6'2", 205 at the high school level, it's going to be hard to stop that every time.
Better snap this time by Engelke, and the hold down and the kick by Jenkins is up and in. And with 9:22 to play in the second quarter, Gateway has doubled their lead 14-0 as Gateway takes advantage of an odd decision by the Penn Hills Indians to go for the fake punt. And really what I think was odd was certainly maybe you come out and you try to catch the Gators on their heels. But after Don Hall called that timeout, I don't think anybody from Gateway was going to buy the fact that Jonah Silverman was confused and was going over to the Penn Hills sideline and that the ball was going to be snapped to the personal protector. I think that was telegraphed after it came after the timeout.
Hard to argue with any of that. I echo that completely. And I just don't see the need to be that risk averse here this early in the first half. If you're within striking distance as you were, with a talented Gateway team, this is a 2-7 matchup. Why force it? I mean, I get that you might be feeling that you're playing with house money and just go for it as the underdogs, but I mean, you're really in the shadow of your own end zone, and we saw that as it set the Gators up at the 3-yard line.
Got another scoring update from Peters Township High School. Woodland Hills has cracked the scoreboard. It's 20-6. Peters Township on top of the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Again, the winner of that game will play the winner of this game. And we sure hope that it is the Gateway Gators so we can be right here at Pete Annamarino Stadium next Friday night. Jenkins booms this one deep, and it will carry well into the end zone for a touchback, where it'll be first down and 10 for the Indians at the 20-yard line. Josh Zambito lost his lid as he got tied up with a Gateway Gator coming down the field.
Revisiting that 3-6 matchup that we're talking about, where Peters Township currently up 20-6 on Woodland Hills. It'll be interesting. Woodland Hills, one of those teams that can put points up quickly just with the sheer amount of speed and athleticism they have on the offensive side of the ball. But either way, Gateway's going to get a tough test should they be able to pass on to the next round. Obviously, they met Peters in the title game last season and narrowly escaped with a 1-point victory. And, just a few weeks ago, we saw Woodland Hills give Gateway everything it could handle. It'd be really interesting to see those two teams match up again, this time here at Ante-Marino Stadium.
Duggar, off of play action, rolls to his left, sets his feet and just throws it deep down the field. One Indian kind of nearby, but certainly not Noel Roach's reach. And that'll bring up second down and 10 from the 20.
That's a tough throw for anyone to make, let alone a high school freshman, running across the field, having to try and, without planning his feet, get that ball about 40, 45 yards down the field to a receiver and lead him, put it where it needs to be. That one just way off the mark that time.
Pistol formation this time for Duggar. Motion man from right to left is Barney. And up the gut go the Indians on the draw.
Over the middle. Stop by Taylor.
I think Duggar was the ball carrier that time. Nowhere for him to go. JT, Jock Taylor involved on the tackle for the Gators.
Looked like a miscommunication. Duggar kind of stuck the ball out back there like someone was supposed to receive it from him. Then sort of realized, well, I better get out of here. So at least was able to turn that into positive yardage. But once again, we see a 3rd and long situation, which has spelled disaster for the Indians here in the couple times they've seen it earlier. That's what led to the interception down near the goal line.
3rd down and 9. Yo-yo motion from the wing on that left-hand side. Duggar, feigning play action, steps up into the pocket, flush to his near side right, tosses it to the near boundary into the Gateway bench. There's some bouncing around and then some friendly helmet slapping after the play is over between two future D1 guys in Noel Roach and Derek Davis.
And I'd have to think, if I was a betting man, that Penn Hills is going to simply try and boot this one away. Be surprised if we see another fake attempt here on 4th and long inside their own 25.
Silverman, the punter, steps to his right, gathering in the snap from Zambito. Wobbling punt. Takes a bounce in favor of the Indians and will continue to roll in favor of Penn Hills, and finally will be down at the Gators' 35-yard line, so still pretty decent field position to start with for Gateway.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ball at the 40-yard line, got an opportunity to, again, drive the ball down the field quickly and really put this one, in the rear-view mirror. Certainly Penn Hills with a lot of talent, but a very young roster. So it'll be interesting to see, getting down 21-0. Gateway, one of those teams that they have not trailed at any point this season. Not once, not for 1 second, 1 minute. So the Gators play very well, keeping leads, playing in front. And, a 21-point deficit to the Gators is almost a death sentence.
Draw handoff. Davis nowhere to go as there are 3 Indians in the mix. Leading the charge, Luke Pugliese.
Stop by 78. Pugliese.
I'll actually say a loss of 1, and that brings up second down and 11 for Gateway.
11.
See if Penn Hills can, revitalize any of that push they had towards the end of that Gateway drive where they forced a 4th down and a field goal attempt that got botched. This defense does have some size and some speed on it.
Angle K, all kinds of time. Tosses it down the middle. Davis was held up momentarily.
intended for Price.
No flags come in, and an Indian is slowed to get to his feet. Again, this is the 2-7 matchup between the Gateway Gators and the Penn Hills Indians. Gateway, technically, I guess, co-champs out of the Big East Conference because they were undefeated in conference, as were the Penn Trafford Warriors, but they weren't able to meet because of COVID-related cancellations. Meanwhile, Penn Hills played all 7 games this season, including 5 games in the Northeastern Conference. Their lone conference loss came against Pine Richland, who is the number 1 seed in these 5A playoffs, who hosts South Fayette tonight up in the North Hills of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and everywhere that I have read around all the outlets in town are projecting Pine Richland and Gateway to meet in the finals. That's not to say that there aren't some other incredibly talented rosters. We saw Woodland Hills give Gateway quite a game. We saw Upper St. Clair hang in for a little while with Pine Richland before falling. But there are some, I'm interested to see how Penn Trafford looks. If they're able to put a game together against Upper St. Clair, how do they look against Pine Richland? Because they played incredibly well against Peters Township, which, next week, should those 2 teams meet Peters Township and Gateway, that's no given either. So there's some talented teams in this 5A, which is regarded as the deepest of all the classifications. Engel
K tosses to the left-hand side. Davis a little shake and bake as he ends up losing almost a handful of yards. They'll mark him down at the 31-yard line. So it'll just be a loss of 3, but 4th and long. And the punt unit has to come on for the Gateway Gators for the first time today. And this is the first time where Gateway is forced to give the ball back to the Indians voluntarily. The only other time their drive ended without a score, it was a botched field goal and a turnover on downs, giving the ball back to Penn Hills deep in their own territory.
Yeah, kudos to the Indians for getting a big stop, a quick 3 and out, an opportunity to stay within a score here if they can get a few points on the board.
Ugly punt by Jenkins, takes a bounce at the 50-yard line and out of bounds at the 49. And a net punt of just 19 yards for Jason Jenkins, as they'll actually mark it out at the 50-yard line.
Wow, yeah, just didn't get all of it on that one. Unfortunate. Jenkins has been so good this season in kickoffs, in the kicking game when the snaps have been there, and I don't know. It looked like he had good extension on the leg. I'm not exactly sure what went wrong there on that one, but there's certainly some wind down there on the field, but usually it doesn't impact a kick that much. But if you're Penn Hills, this is, all you can ask for. You rebound from the failed fake punt attempt, you get a quick 3 and out, you get the ball back at around midfield, and now you've got an opportunity if you can get moving with that ground game once again with Key there in the backfield. You've got a chance to bleed some clock and get a score before half and really feel good about things.
So an officials conference here as Penn Hills was ready to go. And now they are officially ready to go. And again, a stoppage. I think they want to add some time to the clock. So they're adjusting it, adding 12 seconds. Pine Richland has taken a 27-0 lead over South Fayette in the 1-8 matchup here in the 5A playoffs. Key on the ground, runs to the right-hand side, slips a tackle, steps out of bounds. We credit the tackle to Jameer Harbor, but a nice pickup there for the Indians. Sets them up 2nd down and 3 at the 43.
Is he ever elusive or what? Take a look, reads the block well, slips right off of there, is able to make that first tackler miss once again. And, that's one of the main attributes of good running backs is always making that first tackler miss. So far, very few times has Key been brought down by the first Gator to get his hands on him.
High snap. Duggar's going to run it himself to the left-hand side. He's met by Jacques Taylor, and it'll be a gain of just a yard, bringing up 3rd down and 2.
Looked like for a second that the seas had parted and there was a little bit of a hole there, but it sure closed up quickly. You see Smith is able to get off of his blocker in short order. So good job by him getting low, getting underneath of that block, and being able to spring out for a tackle.
Trips left, one receiver to the near side right. Motion man, but they'll hand off to Key, who's met at the line of scrimmage and driven back. They'll actually say he lost a yard as the Gators were all over that one. Aiden Smith also involved on the tackle. Jameer Harbor. And it brings up 4th down and 3, and the punt unit is on for the Penn Hills Indians.
It'd be interesting. I thought that this might be 4-down territory for a team that has the ball in opponent territory, down a couple scores, but you do have the opportunity to pin Gateway pretty deep if you get a nice kickoff here. The defense certainly played well the last couple possessions.
Low snap to Silverman. He gets it away. End over end punt. Will take a neutral bounce and then roll in favor of Penn Hills to the far boundary. Out of bounds at the 16-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at their own 16 with 5:01 to play in the second quarter. The Gators on top of the Indians. 14-0. We'll send it back down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what's going on with these Gateway Gators? Things have slowed down a bit.
Yeah, Adam, certainly they're not getting as much. The momentum seems to be kind of fading away a little bit. I don't think it's really catching it one sideline versus the other. Kind of getting into the grind of the game right now. And these are those moments where, you're going to see hopefully one of those big splash plays by one of the talented backs from Gateway. And outside of that, we want to just see a nice, grinding drive here, run out the clock at the very least.
Engelke pulled it out of the belly of Davis, and Engelke fell back on top of it. Then an O-lineman had to get involved. Penn Hill says they have the football. The officials are going to dig this one out and decide, and it is Penn Hill's football. It certainly looked like the offensive lineman, Dominic Pasquarella, was there to cover up that football. But this is bad news for the Gateway Gators, as this will set up Penn Hill's 1st and goal at the 1st and 10 rather at the 14.
Rick said the momentum was kind of in the middle there for a second. I can assure you that it's not anymore. Penn Hills now this is the jolt that they needed as they gifted a possession to the Gators down in their own territory. Now the Gators give it back, but the key here is that they still got to get it across that goal line. They still got to get some points on the board.
A timeout taken. Again, let's take a look at the 5A playoff bracket. Pine Richland hosting South Fayette up in the North Hills of Pittsburgh. At last check, it was 27-0 Pine Richland. Penn Trafford, just across the county line, hosting Upper St. Clair. Last check, that one was 7-0. Of course, the game of note for us is Peters Township hosting Woodland Hills down in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. That game 20-6, the lead for the host Indians. Home teams leading in all 3 of those football games. And when you look at our game here in Monroeville, all 4 home teams with the early advantage.
Certainly 4 incredibly talented rosters. Penn Trafford was a team that was a little under the radar this coming into this season, but their string of success over the past 5 years has certainly been tremendous. All of these teams come in with quite a pedigree, so not surprising thus far, but what is surprising is seeing Penn Hills benefit from this turnover.
Duggar's going to hand off. A new tailback is Juwan Brown, and Brown with a little bit of room over left guard. He'll pick up a yard or 2 from the 14 to about the 12. Let's see where they spot this ball officially. It will be at the 13, so just a yard gain and 2nd and 9.
Amir Key has really only been the one that's gotten that push and been sort of the workhorse back here on offense. I like that they're trying to spell him, throw some different athletes in on offense. I mean, Key's going to wear down over the game if you give him the ball 25-30 times.
Key is the tailback this time as a motion man from left to right for the Indians. Duggar hands off. Key is hit as he took the handoff by Jacques Taylor, and then Key is hauled down in the backfield by Jaden Hurt.
And Hurt looks like he might have extended his hamstring a little bit. Now we see some laundry come in there right at the back of the field. So that's a double whammy if it's something against Gateway.
Horse collar tackle. Well, we're going to have to take a look at the replay on this one because, at least from our vantage point, it didn't look like Jaden Hurt grabbed the horse collar at all. And the official, the referee's the one who threw the flag from a mile away. There was an official on the near sideline. Wow. I don't know about that call at all. Hurt had one hand in the front, one hand in the back. And let's take another look at this one and see as Hurt, oh man, that is not a horse collar in my book.
Yeah, and always tough. You know, it's always frustrating for a coach whenever you see that flag come in from someone that didn't have the best vantage point of the play.
So half the distance to the goal brings up 2nd down and 5 for Penn Hills. Key, the ball carrier, trying to bounce it to the left-hand side. Couldn't slip past the second wave of tacklers as Aiden Smith makes the tackle.
Did a good job wrapping him up there around the ankles, because if he's able to get away from Smith there, he's got green pastures in front of him all the way to the end zone. And a lot like Derek Davis, Key, a good job of that little jump cut, pushing it back, reading where the defense was heading, and they sort of overextended a little bit.
Great strength on that play by Aiden Smith. Two receivers to the near side right, one to the far boundary left. 3rd down and 5. Key, the ball carrier, wrapped and brought down in the backfield by Hunter Dow.
I think it may have been a fumble and a turnover.
Yeah.
And so I think the Gators come out unscathed once again.
Yeah, I think Dow may have at least forced the ball to come loose as he wrapped up Key. So a turnover for Penn Hills will give Gateway the ball back. Now, Vince, let's get back to that horse collar tackle that gave Penn Hills at least one more down to work with. One of our crew over in the next room over took the opportunity to look deep into the high school rule books, and now there's a horse collar rule at the high school level where if a tackle is made up near the name plate, it is automatically called a horse collar, so that's why the official threw that flag. And taking a look at that last play, the fumble by Key, it was punched loose by Hunter Dow. It looked like he had a clean tackle from our vantage point, but we're about 5 stories up from the field and a good ways back. A great job by our crew to get a great shot of that one as Dow knocked it loose. A turnover for Penn Hills and 1st and 10 for Gateway.
Well, that's got to be so defeating for the Indians. You come up so close a few times and can't get any points on the board. An interception thrown into your offensive end zone and then fumbling it away in the red zone. Those are points you can't give away against the 2 seed here on the road.
Gateway motions 2 backs next to Engelke. Engelke off of play action, setting up the screen, dumps it off to Davis. Sidesteps one Indian, but can't get past the second as the tackle is made by Cameron Hopkins. And the clock will wind towards 3 minutes to go here as a loss on that play of 2 brings up 2nd down and a dozen.
You can tell that Coach John Ladon had his guys ready for the screen pass. They haven't given up any of those big splash plays as Rick had talked about on those screens. And Gateway goes to them quite a bit, so there's certainly a lot of film on it. But you see there 5 Indians in the vicinity staying at home, not getting sucked in there. That's good defense. That's really mature for a young team.
Empty set for Engelke. Great shotgun snap. He has time as he flushed to the right. Tucks and runs. The 10. The 20 as he spun down after picking up the 1st down.
Nice block there on the outside by Kelvin Nelson, who you see there at the top of your screen. Saw after running a route that it was becoming a quarterback keeper. Nelson gets his head on a swivel quickly, finds the corner near him and seals him off and ensures that that's going to be a 1st down run for the quarterback. Only thing I'd like to see is maybe Engelke get down a little quicker. Again, I worry about he's such a big part of this offense.
Engelke off of play action. He's wrapped and he is sacked back at the 11-yard line. They'll say he got forward progress back to the 12, so a loss of 8 on that play brings up 2nd down and 18.
Penn Hills has done a really good job of preventing those big plays or those long plays on 1st and 2nd down that Gateway has been so good at this season. And it's made things harder for the Gators, 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations. That's what's kept them kind of stymied here, just 14 points on the board, 7 of those gift wrapped, as we said, off of a really botched fake punt by the Indians.
2 receivers to either side. Engelke off of play action, throws it to Shamar Price. Price has the 1st down and more as he crosses the 30, and they will say he's finally stopped. So initially it's a gain of about 20 yards, but there's a flag down and we'll have to check in. And it's a sideline warning against Gateway. So that's the good news. It's the warning this time. So the play will count for the Gateway Gators, a pickup of about 20 from the 12 out to the 32.
Another nice completion, another nice ball there by Engelke to lead his receiver in stride so that Price is able to take off with that one and not lose any of that acceleration or speed. And clock starting to wind.
1:12 to play. Engelke in the shotgun. Delay handoff. Davis, big crease over left end. Running to the near boundary. Cuts it back inside. Picks up the 1st down and more out towards the midfield stripe. They'll mark him down at the 49. Getting back to that previous play by Shamar Price, he was never actually down. Gateway just held him in check so he could never get any more forward progress, and the officials finally said the play was dead.
Right, and he knew that. You saw him continue to try and fight up on that one. But Davis, you've got to get the feeling from these defenses that he becomes not a whole lot of fun to tackle.
Deep throw this time for Engelke, looking down the near sideline for Jaden Hurt. That pass well off the mark brings up 2nd down and 10, just shy of the midfield stripe. 45 seconds to play here in quarter number 2. Gateway has 2 timeouts remaining. Penn Hills has 1. As Pine Richland has stepped out 35-0 on South Fayette, so when that game moves to the 2nd half, unless it changes before halftime, that'll go to the modified timekeeping system. It'll be a quick night up in the North Hills. Trips right, 1 receiver to the near side left. Engelke tucks, runs to the near side left, steps out of bounds inside of Indians territory. A pickup of 3 brings up 3rd down and 7.
Good job there to get out of bounds. Gators still have 2 timeouts available to them, so still a decent amount of time to work with here. And yeah, you talk about, Pine Richland and Gateway have been highly regarded as, sort of in a league of their own in 5A. And I know a lot of people that are looking forward to the possibility of those 2 teams meeting, with Pine Richland coming down from 6A and so far running the gamut against everyone in 5A.
Yeah, Pine Richland would have a virtual home game in the WPIAL finals as well, as they would take a very, very short trip from their stadium to North Allegheny for the WPIAL 5A finals, which is scheduled for 2 weeks from tomorrow, November 14th.
And they are the odds-on favorites, but again, I'm not discounting the abilities of Penn Trafford, Peters Township, Woodland Hills, even Upper St. Clair, even though it looks like Penn Trafford and Peters Township have established a little bit of leads in their respective contests. I mean, 5A has been regarded all season long, as we talked about, in all of the publications around the city, as the deepest classification with the deepest amount of talent, good coaching. So, I mean, you play these games out here, you don't play them on paper, and there's an opportunity for some upsets to happen. Again, we saw Woodland Hills almost spring one against Gateway just a few weeks ago.
So it's 3rd down and 7 for Gateway with the ball on the left hash at the Penn Hills 48-yard line. Gateway out of a timeout. Play action, Engelke looks right, tucks, runs to the left. He's got a lot of room. He's got the 1st down and more, runs to the near sideline at the 35-yard line. They'll mark him out near the 34.
Again, a good job by Engelke. He's ran more in this game than I think he has combined for the entire season, both in attempts and in yards. And another good job getting out of bounds.
They'll spot this ball at the 32. It certainly didn't look like Engelke got anywhere near the 32 when he stepped out of bounds. Take a look at our replay. It was at the 34, but as Gators fans, we'll take the extra 2 yards. Engelke in the shotgun. Dumps it off to Kelvin Nelson, who caroms off of an Indian and will be brought out of bounds on the near sideline. Penn Hills said they had the football as Nelson lost it, but Penn Hills had the ball out of bounds. So it's just a fumble out of bounds.
Kelvin Nelson, I mean, you see it right there. 6 foot tall, 245 pounds of pure muscle, and it's going to take a lot to move him. You got to wrap up. That's the big mistake there, is you see the would-be tackler is Jaden Duggar, brother of Julian. And, yeah, a guy that big, you're going to have to get 2 hands around him, not just on him.
They were grabbing at his helmet. The ball got pulled out, and wow. Taking a look at our replay, it looks like that ball was inbounds. Wow. So Penn Hills may have a case there. Engelke, pressured, wrapped, sacked at the 35, maybe the 36. And Gateway will use their final timeout.
Stop by 78. Police.
Well, so far, good coverage, not allowing any of those deep completions. And that one, a coverage sack, as Engelke certainly had some time to throw early in that one, and then the pocket sort of collapsed, and wisely brings the ball down. So they live to fight another play. We'll see. No timeouts left. You either got to get to the sidelines quick to try and pick up that first down here, even though it's only second down. You got to get that ball down the field, or got to put one into the end zone.
Now the sticks say third down. The scoreboard has just been updated to say third down, so it is third down and 15 for Gateway at the 36. The line to gain is the 22, so it's actually third down and 14. But still a big chunk of yardage to pick up here. And like you said, Gateway with no timeouts remaining needs to, if they get the first down, get up on the ball to spike it. Or more importantly, try to get out of bounds if you do get that first down.
Well, you do have the added benefit, as you do in college, of the clock stopping momentarily when the sticks change. So there is the opportunity to clock it real quick if you want to get in position for a field goal.
Trips right, one receiver left. Engelke, shotgun. And an Indian was in the neutral zone. I think a tick came off of that clock, so that honestly should reset to 18 seconds. See if the officials are cognizant of it.
Offside against the Indians. 5-yard penalty.
Doesn't appear that they will acknowledge that a second came off of that clock on the snap. That was not. Let's hope it's meaningless. Okay, now the officials and the coaches are requesting some time to be added back to that clock, as Penn Trafford has opened up a 21-0 lead on Upper St. Clair, not far from here along Route 130 at Penn Trafford High School.
It was showing 17.4 on the clock now. It was showing 18.3 before, so it really was about 1 full second that came off, and that's a lot to work with here late, and they'll put exactly 1 second back on the clock, so we're good to go here.
Yeah, 18.4 on the actual clock to our left-hand side. Engelke looks right, now looks back to the left. Gateway setting up the hook and lateral, but the pitch was not on the mark, and Penn Hills comes out of there with a loose football.
A little bit more momentum for the Indians. Not going to get any points out of this unless they really push and try and get a deep ball connected or open up a big run. But sloppy here in the second quarter. Maybe one of the worst second quarters, if not the worst, the Gators have played all season. Really no flow to their game. The offense not really able to get any traction. Penn Hills was able to run the ball effectively on them. And so, you know, if you're Coach Don Hall, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about here as you head into the locker room. You know, this is probably as bad as you can feel for being up 14-0.
And in that circumstance there on the hook and lateral, just eat the football at that point. Don't try the lateral. Maybe try to get up on the line of scrimmage and run a play to the end zone as time is waning. but it was designed to be the hook and lateral, and sometimes high school kids just decide that, the play that's called needs to be the play that happens. Well, that'll do it for the first 24 minutes of action as the Gateway Gators take a 14-point lead into the locker room on the Penn Hills Indians. But, Vince, I'll tell you what, this is not the lead that the Gateway Gators could have had, as they've had the ball deep inside of Penn Hills territory several times.
Yeah, they put themselves up in position to really execute and put this game away by halftime. And just a few blunders, we saw that one there, missing a field goal. These little things that have allowed the Indians to stay in the peripheral. They're just a couple big plays from getting back into this. We saw this against Woodland Hills where they really struggled to close that door, and Woodland Hills started to come back. Every time that Gateway would get a 2-possession lead, Wolverines would undercut it back to 1 very shortly after.
Now, one thing that I think has to be dejecting for Gateway is the number of times that they've had the ball deep inside of Penn Hills territory and come away empty. 2 times, once here in the latter stages of the second quarter, and then, of course, early in the second quarter on that missed field goal opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams have really struggled. Penn Hills has turned it over a couple times, driving the ball late too, and so both of these offenses have really struggled to find their footing. But if you're Gateway, you've got to try and look through that, find some positives, get the ball into Davis's hand. We really haven't seen a lot of him tonight. When push comes to shove, he was the one that helped put that game away against Woodland Hills. I think he'll be the key to getting past the Indians here tonight.
Let's send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, your impressions of the first 24 minutes of action.
I think you guys summed it up really well there. I think Gateway came out the first quarter, really snapping off the ball, doing everything right. Had the offense. Is my mic cutting out again?
Yes.
Okay,
we got you.
Okay. But, that second quarter, everything kind of slowed down a little bit there. And I think something we're seeing here is this Gateway offense has seen nothing but success in nearly every drive they've had all season. You haven't seen that punter come out very often this year. So when you kind of get used to that, now they're coming up against some decent defensive teams. They struggled against Woodland Hills a little bit that way, keeping everything going. And that's as close to, like Vince said, they haven't been down all season. But this is kind of the first time they're seeing that their offense just isn't quite clicking. So you're seeing some frustration coming from the team. And I'm looking to see what Don Hall does to calm them down and get them back to play in the second half.
Thanks a lot, Rick. And fans watching live, of course, we'll let you watch the Penn Hills Marching Band and then the Gateway Marching Band, and then Vince and I will return for coverage of the second half. You're watching the WPIAL playoffs on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, where your score is Gateway 14 and Penn Hills 0.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the field the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The band is thrilled to be with you this evening to present a portion of the 2020 show, Orbit. Tonight, the band performs the first of 3 movements of their show, featuring enterprising young men from Star Trek, Venus, bringer of peace, and Jupiter, bringer of jollity from Gustav Holst's suite, The Planets, with original music by Chad Heine. Join us after the game for a post-game performance of Orbit in its entirety. Now, under the direction of drum majors Rebecca Burns, David Clark, and Ashwarya Krishnamurthy, it is my pleasure to present to you the Gateway High School Marching Band. The Gateway Marching Band is under the direction of Mr. James Helchey, with assistance from Mr. Sean McMasters, Mr. Ryan Moser, and Mr. Dave Verno. Color Guard directors, Mrs. Deb Costley and Mr. Robert Reed. The Gateway Band would like to thank the Gateway High School Band Boosters, Gateway School District Administration, School Board, and community for their continued support. The band would also like to congratulate Ms. Shazinski and the Penn Hills Band on a wonderful show, and thank you for being here this evening.
Set to begin half number 2 here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators lead the Penn Hills Indians 14-0. We thank you for joining us on the Trib Live High School Sports Network for our coverage of this WPIAL 5A quarterfinal matchup. The 7 versus 2 matchup, as the number 7 Penn Hills Indians trail the number 2 Gateway Gators, the host team, 14-0. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you up here in the booth. Down on the field, Rick McIntyre with expert analysis from along the boundary. And Vince, we already talked about it as we were wrapping up that first half, but in all honesty, Gateway has some soul searching to do after they came out, after they went into the locker room with a couple of missed opportunities.
Yeah, you know, Rick and I were talking about it as he was getting ready to head back down to the field, that don't really know how to feel about that first half, but even more so, don't know how to feel about the second half. It's really going to come down to adjustments by both coaching staffs who have been proven winners over time, so they know how to make those adjustments. But Penn Hills was really getting the better of Gateway in that second quarter. You'd have to think that they chalked that up as a W. They don't give up any points, even though they didn't score any points. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Gateway is able to find some rhythm on offense. We saw the same sort of thing happen against Woodland Hills in the other game, where they found a little bit of adversity and they found their way through. So we'll see what happens.
Let's send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what's your analysis of the way the Gators came out of that locker room?
It came out, like normal, professional, ready to ball, but grabbed Coach Hall for a couple seconds there, and he was about as displeased as I've seen him so far this year. But again, he preaches the same thing: coming out, doing your assignments, repping the G. And he mentioned there's been a handful of mistakes that they've fortunately been able to get away with so far in this game. And he's worried if they continue that the Penn Hills Indians are going to be able to capitalize. So I think the word of the second half is buckle up.
Did he mention anything about the way Engelke played in that first half? Because at times he shone brightly, at other times he struggled, both with the long snap and a couple of errant decisions.
I think, without saying it, I believe that long snap is probably one of those mistakes that they were able to get away with and maintain a 14-0 lead.
Well, we will get that second half started in just a few seconds, as Gateway will kick off to Penn Hills to begin this third quarter in Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
If you're the Indians, this is a golden opportunity to capitalize on the momentum that you conjured up throughout that second quarter, where you shut out the Gators. If you're able to get a good drive going here and finally get some points on the board, specifically at least 6, then you make this a one-possession game, and you put all the emphasis and all the pressure on Gateway here at home to retaliate and to build a little more of a cushion, because if not, then you're just going to be hanging around there by one score. So this is really a huge possession for the Indians upcoming here.
Also a huge possession for the Gateway Gators. They can maintain pitching that shutout and get the offense back out on the field, get some points, and maybe try to get the Indians in their rearview mirror a bit more.
Yeah, a 3-and-out and a quick drive by Gateway would be, like we said earlier, 21 points is almost a death sentence against this talented Gators team.
Jenkins kick end over end will be returned from the 10-yard line by Noel Roach. And Roach runs to the far sideline, or to the far hash rather, and will be brought down as he crosses the 25 to the 26-yard line. You may have seen an updated score from a game that has bearing on one of these two teams' next opponent. Whether it's the Gateway Gators or the Penn Hills Indians, they'll either play the Peters Township Indians or the Woodland Hills Wolverines, but right now it looks like it's going to be Peters Township, as they're out on top of Woodland Hills by 22 points, 28-6 in the third quarter.
And those two teams, Peters Township and Gateway, met in the title game last season. So that would be a rematch of what was a one-point contest last year in the playoffs.
And a driving rainstorm at Norwin High School, as Duggar goes to the ground, running to the right-hand side. A host of gray jerseys involved on the tackle For the Gateway Gators, down at the bottom of the pile, Kelvin Nelson.
We talked about it with both of those teams. They bring a lot of talent back, both Peters Township and Gateway, and obviously we don't make any assumptions about who may play next week in any of those two games, but a potential matchup between those two teams would really be interesting because you'd see a lot of guys renew rivalries with a team they meshed with last year in the title game.
Pistol formation, Duggar with a back behind him. He'll hand off to that back. And that is Jawan Brown, and Brown has nowhere to go. He'll actually lose about a half a yard as the Gators were all over that one.
Stop by Dow. Third down.
Jacques Taylor, the first one there. Hunter Dow cleaning up the tackle as well. And it will be a loss of one, and that brings up third down and 7 from the 30.
They're going to need to get more from Julian Duggar at the quarterback position. He had a rough first half, threw an interception, always seemed to be running for his life, had a couple positive gains, but you know, they're starting to key in on those halfbacks. It's going to take a complete effort by this offense and getting some other playmakers involved if they want to get points on the board.
Duggar, he's going to hand off, and again the ball carrier is Jawan Brown, and Brown with a little bit of a crease from the 30 to the 32, but he's brought down by Hunter Dow.
Fourth down.
So a gain of just 2, and it's 4th and 5, and the punt unit comes on for the Penn Hills Indians. So barring a fake punt that leads to a first down here, it's 3 and out for the Penn Hills Indians. Now we saw them run a fake punt that really didn't fool anybody, and then it went awry as the snap from Zambito to Brown went awry, and Gateway ended up getting it and around the 3. And the punt by Silverman is nearly blocked, but he will get it away, and it will bounce in favor of Penn Hills at around the 30 and roll to the far boundary at around the 27-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway. They'll set up shop 73 yards from pay dirt.
Yeah, all things considered, a decent punt there. But still decent field position for the Gators. And like you said, Adam, they have the opportunity now to really gain a foothold in this game. They are up 2 scores, but it certainly didn't feel like that momentum-wise at the end of the first half. But you go up 21-0 here, then you really have an opportunity to get the ground game going and play keep away with this lead and sort of ice this one and look forward to next week. But they've still got a decent ways to go. Looks like they'll have about 73 yards to go before they can see that become a possibility.
So a 3 and out by the Gators defense. Here's the Gators offense. Shotgun with a sidecar to the left-hand side of Engelke. It's Davis. He's got the first down as he carries it out across the 37. They'll say he gets to the 39 before driven back by a host of white jerseys.
That's the first down.
You see that initial acceleration, that quick jump right through the hole by Davis. That's one of the things he's just so good at. As we take another look, he's able to just turn on the jets quickly. We've seen multiple times this season where as he gets to the second level, he has sort of those afterburners that turns on like a second level of speed, and so wasn't able to get around the defensive backs there, but was pretty darn close.
Wing to the right. Sidecar to the right-hand side of Engelke is Davis. Davis running to the far side left, turns it inside, crosses the 40, and takes it to the 42-yard line before he's brought down by a couple of Indians, including Alan Parker.
And I talked about it at the end of the first half, but not surprised to see them simplify things a little bit, get the ball to Davis and allow him to go to work. He's going to wear this defense down. He's not fun to take down. We've seen that at certain points in the season. Saw with one of his last runs of the first half, guys starting to shy away from that contact against him because he certainly doesn't on the offensive side.
Second down and about a half a dozen as Engelke keeps it running right, spinning his way forward out towards the 44-yard line. That's where they'll mark Carson Engelke down. As Posey gets involved in the tackle for Penn Hills.
Yeah, he's done an especially good job running the ball tonight. We've not seen him do this much this season, but he's done it well so far tonight.
Hand off, Davis hesitates, then bursts his way towards the line of scrimmage, gets close to the first down flag. They'll mark him a yard short, and it'll be 4th down and 1 approaching midfield. Don Hall with the decision to make here. And I think you got to keep the offense out there.
They've gotten into a pretty good rhythm here, and every play has gone forward. You need a little less than a yard. It looks like about 2/3 of a yard, so got to trust a guy like Davis to get that.
Gators in the shotgun. Two receivers and a wing to the left. One receiver to the near side right. Angle K, hands off. Davis running left, and he's brought down in the backfield, and it's a turnover on downs. And it's the second time today where the Gators give it to the Indians on downs.
And once again, that door hangs open for the Indians, but can they execute offensively? Can they make something happen? Gateway's giving them opportunities to get back into this game. They've had more than enough opportunities to equalize or even lead this contest, and they have not executed. So it's going to come down to Duggar, and if he's able to make plays, whether it be with his arm or with his feet, but you know, credit to the Gateway defense. They have kept him under lock and key thus far tonight.
Again, the game of importance for the Indians and the Gators is Woodland Hills and Peters Township. And in the third quarter, it's a 22-point lead for the host Indians. Pine Richland on top of South Fayette, 41-7 in the third quarter. And at last check, Penn Trafford a 21-point lead on Upper St. Clair in the third frame as well. Indians go to the ground, and nothing doing as Kelvin Nelson and Jacques Taylor make the stop 1 yard deep in the backfield.
I mean, they're one-dimensional, Adam. I mean, they have not been able to prove that they could go to the air against this talented secondary of the Gateway Gators and find any success whatsoever. And so right now, you're just putting 7 guys, 9 guys in the box, you know, loading up and forcing Penn Hills to throw the ball. Because if not, they're not going to get a whole lot going on the run games thus far.
Second down and 11 for the Indians. Duggar in the pistol. Straight drop back. Throws to the near side left. Man-to-man coverage in the pass, well off the mark intended for Noel Roach.
Good coverage there. Roach really didn't have a ton of separation. You're really going to have to put that ball right on the money. And a little bit of arm strength there from Duggar, but he just put too much on it.
Freshman southpaw, throwing that one deep over the head, like we said, to Noel Roach. So 3rd and 11 here for Penn Hills. Trying to take advantage of a turnover on downs. As Penn Hills punted it to the Gators came up shy on 4th down and 1 near midfield. Trips right. Duggar pressured, rolling left. Tosses it to the near boundary, and the pass is broken up. Great timing by the defensive back, Shane Thrift, to bat that one to the boundary, trying to get the pick, but the incomplete pass will work just as well as the punt unit has to come on for the Penn Hills Indians.
Well, you see here that, you know, Roach was the only receiver on this side of the field, so by the time Duggar's coming around this way, everyone knows that's where the ball is going. He's, you know, with his eyes, he's airmailing that one. And so Thrift had the opportunity to read that all the way, wait, and then pounce on it, but the ball was just thrown a little too far out to be intercepted.
Good snap by Zampito, and Silverman gets it away. Not a pretty punt as that one went to the sideline, and this is the guessing game by that official on the far sideline. He has to determine where did that ball cross the boundary, and he'll say at the 40. So a punt of 7 yards, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Gators at the 40-yard line. So other than some time off the clock and about 5 yards, Gateway didn't lose much on that turnover on downs.
Again, the Indians have had every opportunity to make a game of this, but thus far, if you're Gateway, you have no regrets about going for it on 4th down around midfield, because you're at a point where the Penn Hills offense has to prove that they can actually score in this game. Thus far, they haven't been able to conjure anything up whatsoever, and before too long, Gateway's going to spring a big play here and put this one out of reach.
2 receivers right, a wing, and a receiver to the far boundary left, Angle K. Shotgun, play action to Nelson, and tosses it across the middle, and the pass is intercepted by a Penn Hills linebacker. Coming down this near boundary is Cameron Hopkins, and he'll be brought down by Angle K. And Carson Angle K, I don't know where he was throwing that football, but the only man near it was Cameron Hopkins.
He thought he saw something. We'll take another look here. Gets flushed out. Obviously a lot of pressure there. Looked like he was going across the field, was going to try and hit, I believe, Shane Thrift. Or no, Shamar Price.
Yeah, it was Price who was coming across the middle, but underneath was Hopkins, and Hopkins picked that one off and took it all the way down to the Gateway 14-yard line. And for the first time today, Penn Hills finds themselves inside of the Gateway red zone.
That's like the cardinal sin for a quarterback, is to try and roll one way and throw back across the body the other way. There's just so much traffic there that it's bound to either get batted down or intercepted more times than not.
2 receivers left, one to the far side right. Handoff goes to Jawan Brown. Brown will pick up a yard to around the 13-yard line. Kelvin Nelson on the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
Let's see if they call number 4 and try and get Amar Key the ball here in the red zone. He's been the one athlete on offense for Penn Hills that has really put something together tonight. We saw the incredible stiff arm, a couple real bursts of speed. See if they give him the ball here at any point.
Yeah, we haven't seen Key since he fumbled the ball on the forced fumble by Hunter Dow back in the second quarter. Play action, Duggar looking to the right-hand side, and he was looking for a cutting Brendan Hill, but a Gator was there. It was Patrick Bodie who had the opportunity for the interception as he holds his hands on his helmet and looks to the board for the replay, because he had an opportunity here to come out of there with the football, but it ended up carrying off of Brendan Hill.
Well, and if he would have been able to get his hands on that one, he would have had a lot of green space in front of him and a long way to go for 6. So he definitely wishes he would have had another crack at that one.
2 receivers and a wing to the right, 1 receiver to the near side left on 3rd down and 9 for the Penn Hills Indians. Duggar looking across the middle, and a collision at the 5-yard line, and flags come in from everywhere.
Duggar's pass, incomplete.
As he was looking for Jaden Duggar, and pass interference against the Gators is going to give Penn Hills an opportunity, 1st and goal.
Yeah, unfortunate. It looked like the 2 guys just got tangled up there, but can't impede the receiver from trying to get to the ball, so that's going to produce a fresh set of downs.
Pass interference against the Gators.
So pass interference against Gateway, and they're going to say half the distance to the goal, so not a 1st down, and just a collision. It certainly seemed like Bonzi Parks was the guy there when Duggar ran into him, but sometimes it doesn't matter who initiates that contact. So 3rd down and 3 for Penn Hills. Duggar running right, cutting it forward, gets inside of the 5. Will they give him the 1st down to the 4? They will.
Duggar the ball carrier.
So 1st and goal this time for Penn Hills at the 4-yard line.
Yeah, good play call there. Something we haven't seen too much of tonight. Just a quarterback run all the way, keeping it simple. Now it'll be real interesting. You try and get those playmakers out to the outside of the field in open space, because just have not had a whole lot of luck going north to south here thus far.
Duggar with a sidecar to his left in the pistol. The setback is Alan Parker. The handoff will go to the tailback, or the fullback, Cameron Hopkins, who had the interception. Nowhere for Hopkins to go as the tackle was made by Jacques Taylor at the line of scrimmage.
Again, I'm looking across the sideline. I'm trying to, we are a good bit of ways up here, but I'm trying to keep an eye out for Amir Key, see if he's injured or if there's some reason that he's not in, because he was just playing incredibly well in the first half, and frankly we haven't seen him at all, and this is the situation where you would think it'd be a really great opportunity to get the ball in his hands, and he's not out there.
Duggar in the pistol, twins to the right. He'll hand off. A crease over left guard, closes quickly. Quick enough to keep Alan Parker out of the end zone.
Alan Parker, the ball carrier.
That'll bring up 3rd and goal from inside the 2, and a Gator is slow to get to his feet. I think that Gator is Bonzi Parks. So they'll spot that ball at the 1 when we return to action, as Parks still slow to get to his feet. Fans, don't forget, help support the Gateway Gators by participating in the online 50-50 raffle. Download the Raffles Now app And search Gateway Football Boosters. The winner will be picked after the game and will be notified via email and within the app. Also, the boosters still have gold card discount cards available. Gold cards offer discounts at Papa Rocks in Haymaker Village, the North Park Lounge in Murraysville, area McDonald's restaurants, Buffalo Wild Wings in Penn Center, the Gateway Grill, and more. For more information, email gatewayfootballboosters@gmail.com or visit gatewayfootballboosters.com. Bonzi Park still slow to get to his feet as the Gateway athletic trainer continues to check with him, and Don Hall out there looking over his senior defensive back. And Parks to his feet and will come to the near sideline. Under his own power, which is good news.
Always. And you hope that he just got the air knocked out of him or has a stinger or something like that. He's not, he's not limping. He's not grabbing at any shoulder, elbow, anything like that. So, you have to hope that it's something minor that just sort of took the air out of him, and hopefully we'll see him again tonight.
So 3rd down and goal for Penn Hills at the 1-yard line. Duggar is in the shotgun with 2 sidecars to his right. Claps his hands, runs to the right. He is brought down at the line of scrimmage, maybe a few inches deep into the backfield, as Jacques Taylor was the first one there, and he had a couple of teammates holding the line in front of him. Jacques Taylor playing at a different speed tonight than the rest of those football players out there on that front line.
He really is. I've said it a number of times. I really do feel firmly he's the lifeblood of this defense, that they take their cue from his energy and his enthusiasm for the game, and he has been just incredible thus far in the second half.
4th down and goal for the Indians. And a timeout is called by John Ladon. The doctor takes a timeout on 4th and goal at the 1-yard line.
Good idea. See what the defense is throwing to you there. Get your play call in. Make sure everyone is on the same page. Try to execute at the highest level possible, because this is arguably your ball game. You're already late in the 3rd quarter. You've had no points. You've had a ton of opportunities, and you've got to get one across, because the longer you go in this game without scoring any points, the more impossible it's going to start to feel that you can score on this Gateway defense. You come away here with no points, and Gateway's able to start getting the ball down the other way. They can put this game away. But again, if the Indians are able to punch this one in here, all of a sudden you've got yourself a ball game.
Speaking of Indians, the Peters Township Indians have opened up a 24-point lead on the Woodland Hills Wolverines down in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, 30-6. Pine Richland, 41-7 over South Fayette. And the game nearby, Penn Trafford leads Upper St. Clair 21-0 in the 3rd quarter. 4th down and 1 here for the Penn Hills Indians. This an opportunity for Penn Hills to secure momentum, or for Gateway to reclaim it. Duggar in the shotgun with 2 sidecars to his right. He runs to his right. He's met in the backfield. He's wrapped, and the Gateway Gators turn the Indians over on downs. It'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at the 5-yard line.
I don't like that play call whatsoever, snapping it back, 4 yards deep, and then having your quarterback wait and try and read for something. The last 3 plays, we've seen Gateway fire through, and I don't know why they didn't try to get the ball out wide to one of their playmakers or one of their speedsters.
Diego Bledsoe, Hunter Dow just did a great job of getting in there and disrupting Duggar, and then the play cleaned up by Jameer Harbor, and a turnover on downs brings that momentum back to the home team, the Gateway Gators.
And the fans as well. This is the loudest we've heard this crowd thus far tonight. Obviously limited capacity, but still the cowbells are going. The fans are enthusiastic. That is a huge play.
Handoff, Davis. Met a yard deep in the backfield. They'll say he was able to surge back to the line of scrimmage for no gain, and it's 2nd down and 5. Let's send it down quickly to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what's the feel like after the Gators forced the Indians to turn it over on downs?
Yeah, after that big explosive play coming up the middle down, the whole sideline just absolutely erupted with that turnover on downs. So I'm looking forward to see if they can keep feeding off this energy.
So some movement up front here on 2nd down and 10 from the 5-yard line. Now, there was a defensive lineman who moved, but also the right guard moved. So the officials are going to have to talk things over here. And the question is, did Hunter Dow move because the defensive tackle moved, or did the defensive tackle move because Hunter Dow moved?
And you see a couple of the Gators trying to point for a replay on the scoreboard. It looks like they are going to call it against the Indians after all.
Outside against the Indians.
So they say that Penn Hills, their movement up front, moved Dow, or forced Dow to move. So it'll be a 5-yard penalty from the 5 to the 10, bringing up 2nd down and 5. And Gateway gets 5 yards away from the shadow of their own end zone.
Yeah, and that's huge. It allows Angle K to be able to open this playbook up a bit. He can drop back a little bit, get this shotgun snap without having to stand in his own end zone.
Double wing formation. Angle K looks to the left, throws to the left, completes to that left-hand side as he finds Jaden Hurt, who backpedals to the boundary after picking up a 1st down and a gain of 14 yards.
It's a nice timing route. We've seen them go with that a few times throughout the season. They did it in the first couple weeks, and I think they got away from it after the 3-week break because they were just so limited in practice, and it takes a good bit of chemistry, but starting to get that back here between the quarterback and receivers.
Again, the double wings. Angle K off of play action, throws it deep. Patrick Bodie had a step, but the pass is off the mark as it carries over Bodie's hat. Jaden Duggar on the coverage for the Penn Hills Indians.
They had him once again, just so hard to contain the combination of the size and speed that these receivers have on this Gateway football team. And take another look. Bodie was off to the races should this one have been put right where it needed to be, but just a little too much.
Again, double wings for the Gators as receivers are split to either side and Gateway goes to the ground. Not much room for Davis as he wiggles back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll bring up 3rd down and 10.
They've done an excellent job containing Davis here in this second half. They've gotten nothing going here on the ground thus far.
Gateway having a tough time sticking with the blocks up front. Initial contact looks solid. It doesn't seem like anybody up front is able to maintain a block, and that's what's leading to these no gains. 2 receivers right, 1 to the far side left, Angle K. Straight drop back, passing all the way. Spins, runs to the near side, throws, and the pass is incomplete as he was looking for Jaden Hurt. And that incomplete pass will bring up 4th down and 10.
We continue to see this offense struggle for whatever reason it is. They're clearly not getting a good push, as you just said, Adam. But by the same token, Angle K, who's been able to hit a few of those, on the run passes, struggles there. He had 2 receivers and threw at the feet of both of them. Might have been able to get something going there had he been able to get the ball into Jaden Hurt's hands. But nonetheless, they pick up 1 first down and punt again. And the Indians still, if they can find any way to get into the end zone, can still make a game of this one.
Need to see a good punt here by Jason Jenkins after his first punt of the game really was a shank. This one, much better. A wobbler carrying into Penn Hills territory where it's caught on the fly. Coming to the near side is the return man, Noel Roach, and Roach will take it out towards the midfield stripe before he's brought down by Angle K. Also involved on the tackle, Ricari L. It'll be 1st and 10 for Penn Hills at the 48-yard line, 52 yards away from pay dirt for Penn Hills.
And they've had great field position thus far in this second half on all 3 possessions, but have been unable to cash in or make anything of it. That's been really the big story from tonight, other than this Gateway offense really grinding to a halt after a productive first quarter. You think about it, Adam, where would we be in this game if it weren't for that fake punt? That really looms large over this game, because if that doesn't happen, you can't make any assumptions, but it's very likely that this is a 1-score game.
So 1 special teams mistake for either team really costing each team some points. -3 for Gateway and -7 for Penn Hills. As nothing doing there, Hunter Dow relentless as the freshman Julian Duggar was retreating and trying to make something out of nothing, and ends up losing 13 yards in the process.
It has just been An exercise in futility tonight for this Penn Hills offense. Two guys come through without anyone blocking them, and the play's over before it really began. Duggar just trying to run for his life. Unfortunately, runs a wrong way, and loses a ton of yardage there.
Hunter Dow has been impressive tonight. We've talked about Jock Taylor and the way he's played on that defensive front, but you can't discount Dow either. Duggar in the pistol, looks left, throws left, and the pass incomplete. Not near that intended receiver, Noel Roach. Coverage on the play by Shane Thrift, but really the coverage was inconsequential because the pass was so far off the mark.
Yeah, it looked like a miscommunication between quarterback and receiver on where they were supposed to end up on what was a timing route there. And again, it is 3rd and very long now for Penn Hills.
3rd down and 23 for Penn Hills with the ball at their own 35. The line to gain is the Gateway 42. Duggar in the pistol with trips to the right, looks right the whole way. Pressured, steps up, throws to the near side right for Noel Roach, who slides through a Gators tackle by Shane Thrift, but is forced out of bounds by Elijah Heller. Heller, the junior, 5'5", 130 pounds. And we talked about him all season long. Such a diminutive stature, but plays so much bigger.
He really does. I mean, that play has gotten him in here. You look, this is still a contested game here late in the 3rd quarter here of a WPIAL 5A playoff game. So clearly he has made enough plays in the coach's eyes to warrant him getting some big-time playing time in a big moment.
Wobbling snap by Zambito, but Silverman gets the snap and gets the punt away, and the punt is fair caught by Gators return man Yusuf Mendoza. At the 27-yard line, it'll be 1st down and 10 for Gateway. And Gateway has dodged a couple of bullets here, and I think they really need to get the offense going, not just to win today's football game, but to build some offensive confidence going into next week's game in the WPIAL semifinals, especially since it looks like they're going to take on Peters Township, who's got themselves a great defense.
Yeah, Peters Township is rolling right now, and at last update, they had held a talented Wolverines offense and Deontay Williams to just 6 points. So, yeah, you've got to get a little bit of momentum going into next round if you do make it there.
Running left, Engelke. He's got the 1st down and more out towards the midfield stripe. And Carson Engelke with that pickup of about 22, maybe 23 yards, and it's 1st and 10 at the 50 for the Gators.
Well, that's certainly not a bad start. And Engelke has been in this, since the 2nd quarter on, has been the most effective ball carrier, which sounds crazy with Davis in the backfield, but it's just sort of how this has gone with the misdirection. So see if they continue to get the ball into his hands in open space as a ball carrier.
Engelke in the shotgun. Hands off. Davis wiggles free. Inside of the 45, brought down near the 40-yard line. That's a 10-yard pickup and a 1st down for the Gateway Gators.
Stopped by Brown.
So getting back to that Peters Township Woodland Hills score, it's Peters Township 30, Woodland Hills 6 as we head towards the 4th quarter in that one. And we also head towards the 4th quarter here as the Gateway Gators have the same score heading to the 4th frame that they did heading to halftime, a 14-0 lead over the Penn Hills Indians. And Vince, while we have this opportunity, I think what's key here is let's talk about Carson Engelke. He's made some mistakes today, but he has done nothing but come back and not hang his head. Every time he comes back out onto the field, it's like he hasn't played a down yet. He always comes out with the same mentality, and you could see it on that 23-yard run that picked up the 1st down on the first play of this drive. His head is still 100% in this football game, and he's not hanging it down at all.
And that's a real benefit you have from having a senior under center as your quarterback and someone who is battle-tested, a junior, as Angle K is, but certainly playing beyond his years maturity-wise in this game, and surrounded by a lot of talented seniors, and surrounded by a coaching staff that talks about the big picture so much. And the big picture of this game is, yes, you've made mistakes. Yes, you have not executed the level that you expect to coming into this game, but you're currently pitching a shutout. You're up 2 scores. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters, and they're still in a position to put this one away, driving the ball here at the beginning of the 4th quarter.
First and 10 for Gateway, the ball at the Penn Hills 40-yard line. Twins to either side, Angle K, hands off. Davis over left tackle, pushing his way forward inside of the 35, will not be denied the first down flag as he gets to the 30.
Yeah,
he got a little help from his friends there too, didn't he, Vince?
He did. He got a nice push there at the end. As you see, you know, that's the marquee of a talented offensive line. It's sticking with the play. You see a couple guys getting in there at the end. Patrick Bowman and looks like Baron Fowler as well.
Fowler, just a sophomore over at that left guard spot, helping out Davis to get that first down. Angle K off of play action. The pass tipped by Price. Then he lost it, and the ball is back in the end zone. Will they say it's incomplete? They say it's incomplete. Price tipped it. And then they say he didn't catch it cleanly before losing the football across the goal line. So an incomplete pass.
That would have been an incredible effort to tip the pass to himself. But as you take another look, he never really makes too much of a football move. He gets 1-2 feet down, but before he really gets moving, that ball comes loose. It's very close. It is super close to a fumble, but I don't know that he gets it secured.
Yeah, I think as he brings it down from over his right shoulder towards his midsection, the ball got punched loose by the D-back, Noel Roach. So it's 2nd and 10. Angle K, straight drop back, crossing route. It's Davis. Nowhere to go as he is tackled by Noel Roach.
Yeah, really great open field tackle there by Roach to be able to bring down Davis, who tried to go with the little shimmy shake, put the juke on, but Roach able to break down, wrap up, get his arm secured around Davis, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and long, and the Gators have really struggled to execute on those tonight. They've tried to go with the screen pass a few times, have had no luck. They've failed to hit on a couple deep balls, so it'll be interesting to see what they dial up here and if they're able to convert on this.
So 3rd and 10 for Gateway, Twins to either side, Angle K in the shotgun, straight drop back, looks left the whole way, throws to the left-hand side, and the pass is intercepted. Leaping up with the INT for Penn Hills is Jaden Duggar, and that's the 2nd interception today by Angle K, and this one ends a Gateway drive into Penn Hills territory.
Well, there were flashes there. They were certainly getting the ball down the field. It just seems that things seem to stall. Once they get to 3rd down, they have had a lot of trouble converting on 3rd downs whatsoever. Just looked like that one was thrown just a little short. Had a step there. They had the man open. It looked like Price, but another ball underthrown.
Send it back down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what are you seeing from this Gateway Gators club as they continue to struggle offensively here in the second half?
Yeah, I think you're just seeing a lot of the same things here, just little mental mistakes, making a bad throw here, a bad decision here, and just having a tough time getting this momentum going.
Alan Parker is the ball carrier as he's wrapped and brought down. And again, it's Jacques Taylor leading the charge for the Gateway defense. Also involved in the stop was Diego Bledsoe. And Jameer Harbor also got involved in that stop for Gateway. I misspoke on Jacques Taylor. It was Diego Bledsoe, the other double number that got involved first. Loss of 1 brings up 2nd and 11. The Indians go to the ground, running left, nowhere to go for Alan Parker as he is met in the backfield by a host of Gators. And we'll say a loss of 3. And it'll bring up 3rd down and 14 from the 8.
Well, when push comes to shove, the Indians are just completely unable to get any sort of a push whatsoever and have been able to run the ball very, very little against this Gateway defense. And I'm not so sure they have it in them to score 14 points. So we'll see here. 3rd and 14 now upcoming.
Duggar in the shotgun. Sidecar to his right, trips to the left, one receiver, short side right. Duggar flushes himself to the near side, tosses it down the field, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Noel Roach.
Incomplete.
And that incomplete pass brings up 4th down and 14, and the punt unit forced to come on for Penn Hills. And this is where things get a bit interesting. And a lot of pressure falls on Josh Zambito, the long snapper, because his punter, Jonah Silverman, will be standing in the end zone.
Absolutely, and we saw a muffled snap early on what was supposed to be a fake punt, but a bad snap ruined any chance of conversion on that. So we've seen some issues here tonight. It's going to be imperative that they get this one off cleanly.
Good snap by Zambito. Silverman gets it away. A wobbling punt as a flag comes in. The punt caught on the fly by Yusef Mendoza. And Mendoza is down at the 35-yard line. We'll have to check in with our officials to see what this flag is.
First down for the Gators. At the Penn Hills.
Mendoza kind of caught that one awkwardly, almost fumbled it, almost fell, had to struggle to keep his balance and took a big hit at the end of that return.
So the penalty is holding against Gateway. It was by the man blocking the gunner over on that right-hand side. Now they say it was after the punt was in the air, which is good news for the Gateway Gators, because that'll just cost them 10 yards from the end of the run, or from where he caught the football. It'll be from where he caught the football, which was the 42, which will move the ball to the 49. So they say he caught it at the 41, not the 42. Penn Trafford has opened up a 28-point lead on Upper St. Clair in the 4-5 matchup in Penn Township. So Penn Trafford will advance and will take on the Pine Richland Rams in the semifinals next Friday night. Angle K, shotgun, option right, pitches to Davis. Davis met in the backfield in a great open field tackle. It was Cameron Hopkins one-on-one with Davis, and Cameron Hopkins won the battle.
They've done a good job form tackling thus far tonight, the Indians have, and making life pretty difficult overall for Davis and this Gateway offense, holding them to just 14 points. And again, one of those touchdowns came on a 3-yard drive where they got the ball after a turnover. So this offense has only really one touchdown that they've had to manufacture a long drive on throughout this evening.
I made an error on who made that tackle. It was Rayon Strader on the tackle, the DB wearing 16, not 15 on that far side. Handoff, Davis has a crease up the gut. He'll pick up about 7, maybe 8 yards on second down and 10. Second down and 11, he picks up about 9, bring up third down and 2. Nice job by Kelvin Nelson leading the way, pulling from that right wing spot. Handoff goes to Davis, and knifing through and making the stop in the backfield is Jawan Brown. And this brings up a pivotal 4th down, as again the Gators offense can't get rolling.
Stop by Brown. 4th down.
You've got to wonder. Now, Penn Hills, again, I don't want to make any assumptions, so they've really struggled to put anything together offensively tonight. Let's say Gateway hypothetically moves on here. You've got to have some worry next week if they're able to put up points, as it looks like a jump off sides there is going to gift a 1st down to the Gators, unless there was any movement up front on their end, but nope.
Offsides against Penn Hills, 5 yards, and 1st and 10 for Gateway. So could have been any more fortuitous.
Absolutely. But again, you know, you're likely taking on Peters Township next week. You know, look at the other 3 teams tonight putting up, you know, some big-time numbers offensively. You've got to be able to keep up. And thus far this season, it hasn't seemed like that's been any issue for the Gators. But, you know, so far tonight, they're having a great deal of issues against a talented Penn Hills team. And that's got to give you a little bit of worry moving forward.
Again, they're asking for some time to be added to the clock, and I think they said 7:45 this time. As right now there's 7:09 on the clock. $7:25 is what they put on the clock, so some 18 seconds added back to this football game. And if there's anything we don't want is any more time added to 2020. It's bad enough we've got to, move our clocks back an hour the day after tomorrow.
I just remembered that the other day. That's always the worst whenever it hits you that's coming up.
Yeah, those days just end a little bit earlier. Angle K off of play action. Pressured, wrapped, and sacked. Loss of 5 yards to the 44.
Stop by 20.
Jawan Brown came unscathed from his left outside linebacker position.
15.
Basically, Penn Hills brought one more than Gateway had to block. Wasn't anything the offensive line could have done in that circumstance. Angle K in the shotgun on 2nd down and 15. Tosses to the near side left. Hurt breaks 2 tackles, has a crease. He'll take it inside of the 35-yard line.
Complete to Hurt.
And a pickup of 10 yards on that play.
15. Hopkins.
Brings up a 3rd and much more manageable 5.
It really is incredible what talent can do, because again, this looked like a play that should have been another loss, if not just sort of a neutral play, but then Hurt able to shake off a few defenders, cut up field, put on the Jets, and make this a realistic conversion opportunity for Gateway here on 3rd down.
Two receivers right, Angle K in the shotgun, hands off Davis. No room for Derek Davis as the Indians pile it up inside.
Stop by 20. Brown.
So that'll bring up 4th down and 7. Now, of course, the clock is the friend of the Gateway Gators right now with a 2-score lead. The problem is a 3-score lead would make things much more comfortable with less than 6 minutes to play in this 4th quarter.
3-score lead at this point would really, put this game away. Now the window is still just slightly ajar.
Angle K looks to the sideline on 4th down and 6 from the 35. Don Hall, I think, is going to call a timeout when there's 1 second to go on the play clock, and that is what they will do. So Gateway uses as much clock as possible before talking over their strategy on this 4th down play.
If I'm the old ball coach, I think about trying to pin the Indians deep and continue to win that field possession game here. I mean, you've seen no signs of life from the Penn Hills offense thus far overall in the game, outside of a couple possessions where Amir Key was able to do some damage, but we haven't seen him in the game for one reason or another after he fumbled the ball earlier. And so, I have no reason to believe that Penn Hills can move the ball effectively down the field. I mean, they've had interceptions, they've had, gift turnovers, they've had opportunities inside the red zone, starting drives, and has still produced no points. So if you're Gateway here, I think you just try and pin them deep, but it looks like they're going to keep the offense out here. We have seen Carson Angle K do the little pooch punt. We'll see if he goes with that again here, if they actually run a play.
So Angle K will step back here on 4th down and a half a dozen and will pooch the punt to that far sideline, and it will take a bounce in favor of Gateway, and I'm not sure why Patrick Bodie decided to down it at around the 12-yard line. That could have continued to bounce towards the Indians' end of the field.
Well, that's a lose-lose. Not only would it have continued to roll, but it likely would have taken a few more seconds off the clock with it, so you kind of cut off your nose to spite your face there. But nonetheless, again, this Penn Hills offense it's do or die time. I mean, there's still not a whole lot of time left. You have a lot of doubt on whether or not they can get 2 scores in under 5 minutes when they've had no scores thus far, but this is go time.
Well, Rick, let's send it back down to you. While the offense hasn't looked great by any stretch of the imagination in the last 2.5 quarters, this defense has looked great.
Yeah, I think that's been the name of the beginning of the second quarter, is just both defenses have really been stepping up to the occasion and making the stops when they need to.
Great catch over on that far sideline for the Penn Hills Indians as Noel Roach adjusted to a ball that was thrown behind him to the boundary. Shane Thrift was on the coverage for the Gators, but a nice job on the adjustment by Roach to bring that one in on that far sideline. So Penn Hill speeding things up here. Duggar hit, he's wrapped, he's sacked. First one there was Jameer Harbor and cleaned up by Hunter Dow, and that'll push the Indians back to the 16-yard line.
Those guys down there on the line are just pinning their ears back, whether it's a run or a pass, and they have just been having their way with that offensive line of the Indians here in the second half.
So Penn Hill splits trips to the right-hand side, one receiver to the left. Straight drop back for Duggar. He's pressured again by Harbor. He's wrapped for a moment but eludes pressure. Now steps forward. Duggar still on his feet. Nice open field tackle by Jaden Hurt to prevent what could have been a Penn Hills touchdown, but at least a first down. But neither will be the case. Instead, it's just third down and about 4 for the Penn Hills Indians, and Jaden Hurt is slow to get to his feet.
It looks like potential cramping. That's at least what you hope. I don't see much from after the play, but it looks like he's getting stretched out. So luckily that doesn't look like it's anything too serious, which is good because they're going to need him.
So they will stretch out Jaden Hurt's calf. Don't forget, help support the Gateway Gators by participating in the online 50-50 raffle. Download the Raffles Now app and search Gateway Football Boosters. The winner picked after the game and will be notified via email as well as within the app. Also, the boosters still have gold card discount cards available. Gold cards are available, or discounts are available from the gold cards at Papa Rocks at Haymaker Village, the North Park Lounge in Murraysville, area McDonald's restaurants, Buffalo Wild Wings in Penn Center, the Gateway Grill, and much, much more. For more information, visit gatewayfootballboosters.org or email gatewayfootballboosters@gmail.com. As Jaden Hurt couldn't get that cramp out as he will hobble to the near sideline. So get that boy a banana because he needs that potassium to get that cramp out of that calf. I remember many times where I'd be awoken in the middle of the night from those back in my football days.
Well, pickle juice is supposed to help with a lot of that too, help get the muscles moving again.
Yeah, the electrolytes and the pickle juice from the vinegar and the salt. Wide open on the near side is Brendan Hill, and Hill has a first down for the Penn Hills Indians, as he was wide open initially, and Bonzi Parks ends up making the tackle for the Gateway Gators. Straight drop back for Duggar, rolls to his left-hand side. He's got all kind of real estate in front of him. Runs to that left-hand side, picks up a block, cutting it back to the near side. Duggar still on his feet, and he's wrapped and brought down from behind by Shamor Price. Price trying to chop the football to knock it loose. But Penn Hills able to take that ball deep into Gateway territory to the 23 on that long run by Duggar.
If you're Gateway, you got to stay at home. You've done everything so well tonight. Don't check out just yet.
Pass to that far boundary and a near touchdown. A great job by Noel Roach to try to pull that one in, adjusting to a pass again that was behind him, but he just couldn't pull that one in down on that far boundary.
It looked like there might have been a little push there on the offensive side as well. Roach trying to clear a little space to get to that one.
Yeah, Roach may have extended an arm to get away from Shane Thrift to try to adjust to that football. 3:19 to play in regulation. Gateway on top, 14 zip. Pass tipped, and it will fall to the turf. 3 Gators were there, 2 white jerseys, and the pass was initially tipped by Brendan Hill, who had a big reception moments ago for Penn Hills. But that incomplete pass, the second in a row for Penn Hills, brings up 3rd and 10.
This is the area where you need to really mind your P's and Q's and really execute at a high level. We've seen Penn Hills get down here towards the red zone a number of times tonight, but they have no points to show for it because they can't execute down here thus far.
Duggar out of the shotgun, flushed right. Trying to settle his feet. Now steps forward and will step out of bounds. Couple yard loss on the play. Or they'll say he gets back to the line of scrimmage, as Taylor will be credited with the tackle, forcing him to the boundary, and that'll bring up 4th down and 10. So basically, Penn Hills, their game rides on this play. because if Gateway gets the ball back here, they have an opportunity to take the majority of the clock away.
Yeah, you have 2 timeouts, but you need 2 scores. It's not just a 1-score game. So if you don't get any points here, or more specifically, if you don't get 6 here, this one is over.
Trips left, 1 receiver right. Duggar in the shotgun on 4th and 10. Looking left the whole way, now stepping forward. The Gators wrap him. They sack him. Jaden Hurt comes up with the big play, returning from the injury. Turnover on downs. 1st and 10 for Gateway at the Penn Hills 26-yard line.
And again, as long as they still got to take care of the ball here, but a good job. There was time here. A good job by those DBs to stay in coverage, stay on their men, and allow Hurt to come up and make a play. And if they're able to execute here, take care of the ball, the path to the semifinals is now wide open for the Gators.
So Gateway needs a couple of first downs here to work around some Penn Hills timeouts. And it will be the Gators advancing to the semifinals as long as they hold on to the football. 1 yard gain by Angle K as Ladon calls his 2nd of 3 timeouts.
You'd like to see some execution here. You'd like to see maybe a couple more long runs or just some well-designed plays, because they've just really struggled offensively throughout all of this game. I mean, 14 points, lowest, the entire season. Obviously, they played a talented Woodland Hills team, and not to say that Penn Hills defensively is not talented whatsoever, but Pine Richland hung 53 on these guys. You've got to keep up with teams like that. They're going to face teams like that here in the next round. It's down to 4, and the other 3 teams showed offensively tonight, but they've got a lot of firepower.
But on the other side of the coin, once you get to the playoffs, style points don't matter. You win the game, you advance to the next round. And Gateway well on their way to advancing to the next round with under 3 minutes to play here in the 4th quarter, up 14-0 on Penn Hills.
And there is something to be said for how suffocating they've been on defense, specifically in the defensive backfield. They have made life, albeit for a freshman quarterback, very, very difficult to complete any downfield passes.
Angle K pitches to the near side left for Davis. Davis, boy, what a smart play there for Derek Davis as he slid down on his backside coming towards the near boundary. He gave himself up inbounds to keep that clock rolling.
That's a we before me kind of play. He could have tried to squeeze a few more yards, try to take on a little more contact and get pushed out of bounds, but that is a lot of situational awareness and a drive to get to that next round of the playoffs.
So John Ladon does not use his final timeout after the 2nd down play. It brings up 3rd down and 4 for Penn Hill, or for Gateway. Looks like it's more like 3rd and 3 when you look at the sticks out there. And it looks like Gateway is going to eat up as much time as possible, take a timeout, talk strategy on this 3rd and 3 play.
Timeout, Gateway.
This is part of that chess match you see between coaches. When do you take the timeout? How much clock do you kill? A first down here, and really Penn Hills won't have many opportunities to really get this game back on their side of the field. As we see a final, Peters Township defeats Woodland Hills 39-7 to advance to the WPIAL semifinals. Also Pine Richland, a 47-7 winner over South Fayette. So big scores from both of those teams in Peters Township and Pine Richland. And Penn Trafford hanging 35 on Upper St. Clair late in the 4th quarter over in Penn Township.
So at this point, it looks like the 2nd round field pretty well set. Penn Trafford and Pine Richland will do battle, and looks like Peters Township will be coming here to Monroeville next week.
Trips right, 1 receiver left. Angle K all by himself. Tosses it, it's complete to Hurt. And Hurt will stay in bounds, smartly just took the wrestling over there on that far side, on this near side rather. And a big first down there for Gateway, and a little bit of a risk to go to the air, but the Gators were able to execute when they needed to in that circumstance.
It certainly helps that you have some very sure-handed receivers that you've seen come down with combat catches all season. That one in open space there, a well-designed play. And now it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, Gateway with 96 seconds to go here has a 1st and 10 at their own 39. Engelke's in the shotgun with Davis to his left. John Ladon on that far sideline, allowing the clock to tick away. Engelke claps, hands off. Davis bursts free to the right-hand side. Brought down from the back of his jersey as he crosses the 45 out towards the 47-yard line. And, that tackle precariously close to the nickel-dime version of the horse collar we saw back in half number 1. Apparently rules changed last season that made the horse collar any tackle made up near the nameplate on the back of the jersey, which I don't know, kind of stops being football at some point. Trips right, one receiver left, sidecar to the left-hand side of Engelke on 2nd down and 2. Engelke escapes the tackler. As he starts his slide, he's hit, but he wasn't fully into his slide as he got hit hard by Noel Roach. But it was enough for the 1st down for Carson Engelke, and that 1st down will put this football game away officially.
Yeah. Time to go into the victory formation. Last thing you need is a hit to the head on your quarterback going into the semifinals.
And we see Diego Bledsoe run out there. And Gateway will set up in the victory formation. We saw the coaches on the near sideline throw up the V, but the officials smartly ran that play clock in a timely manner that we didn't have to run another play. Well, one season ends and one season continues. On the far sideline, the Penn Hills Indians see their season end, and the Gateway Gators advance to the WPIAL semifinals yet again, where they will play the Peters Township Indians for the 2nd year in a row in the WPIAL playoffs, this time in the WPIAL finals, or semifinals.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to be here next week for that one. Really nice to see, a local rivalry come back, and this is one of the main reasons. Is you see guys that know each other very well. Families likely know each other. They see each other around in the community, and so for them to be able to come out, play today, leave it all on the field, a good game overall, but just really cool to see this for the community.
Let's send it down to Rick McIntyre for his final thoughts on today's game.
Thank you, Adam. I think you summed it up pretty well by saying that, when it comes to the playoffs, style points don't count. Gateway did just enough today to squeak by a really impressive Penn Hills defense here that held a really, really good Gateway offense to 14 points and really struggled at times. And outside of that, I just want to thank my wife for the new coat. There was a bit of a discrepancy over whether this was going to be appropriate, and I don't say it enough, but it's usually true. You were right and I was wrong.
Wow. Well, I'm going to text her after the game and make sure that she records that and has it on playback for you. Well, thanks a lot, Rick, for your time down there on the sidelines. Vince, let's talk about our final thoughts of today's game. Certainly the Gateway offense wasn't flashy by any stretch of the imagination. We saw them put up 14 early points, but once we got into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarters, the Penn Hills defense came up big, but so did the Gateway defense.
Certainly. You got to give credit to both sides. Both sides played incredibly well on the defensive side of the ball. And I feel a little conflicted after this game looking at that offense going into next week. They certainly have the playmakers. They certainly have the caliber of talent to compete with anyone in 5A. It's just about that execution piece and getting Davis in open space, and they really struggled to do that tonight. Going north to south, he just was unable to get anything moving.
And the biggest shining part of the Peters Township offense, or Peters Township team, is their defense. Their offense is pretty good, but their defense is great. And when you see Penn Hills shut down this Gateway offense, when you saw Woodland Hills at times shut down this Gateway offense, Peters Township, their coaching staff, may be licking their chops a little bit.
They might. It's going to be interesting to see what the game plan looks like this week. All I know is I'm super excited to see this game next week here right at Ante Marino Stadium. But as Rick gave a quick shout out and thank you people, I just really want to quickly, if I may, give a shout out to my mom and my Grammy, who are both Penn Hills people. My Grammy still lives over there. Mom graduated from Penn Hills. Michelle Gold, Joyce Cole, love you both. I'll see you soon.
Well, my family always watches, but they get the credit especially my daughter next door running the replays. Of course, my other daughter, my wife, and my mom back home watching as well. So thanks for watching, I guess, also. Vince, your final thoughts on today's football game before we wrap it up?
Again, two sides of a coin. The offense has got to step up. They're going to face some really talented offensive teams, but you've got to feel confident on the other side. This defense was stifling tonight. They made the passing game impossible, made Penn Hills one-dimensional, and because of that, you've got to feel good about them going into next week.
Well, that'll do it for our coverage of the Gateway Gators taking on the Penn Hills Indians. Gateway victorious 14-0 to advance to the WPIAL semifinals, where they will take on the Peters Township Indians next Friday night. And of course, we will have the coverage for you right here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. For my broadcast partner, Vince Russo, down on the field, Rick McIntyre, and our entire crew in the next room over, and Joe Slickbrave in the elements outside, we thank you for joining us. You've been tuned in to Gateway Football on Trib Live High School Sports Network.